go. Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to the 10th point, season 3, now week 7, which is gonna be the last week of the season. I am the Red Mage, and joining me on the stream for commentary today in the booth is Loman02. Hi, Loman. Wait a second. Wait. Can you not hear Loman? Oh, no, you can't. Oh, shit. Why is this? God. So, Windows, the last update screwed up all of my.
Crisp on explaining what Canadian Highlander is this next time.
We got it. Okay, now you should hear. So Windows updated last time, and all of my audio settings got screwed up, and now I'm still playing catch up with everything that changed, but now we should be set up to go. I'm sorry that the start of the stream wasn't exactly the best.
Oh, it'll be fine. Okay. I mean, we're still gonna have some great Canadian Highlander. I'm assuming we're live now, right?
But... Yeah, we are live. We are recording, and we have audio. Everything.
All right.
Thanks to Akasi for being actually mentioning when things were screwed up, because at least we recorded immediately this time. Last time Loman was on, we didn't have Loman audio for a whole game. They never noticed.
Nice. Well, either way, I mean, I get to watch some cool magic. So, I mean, if you guys want to listen to me, that's cool. If not, I mean, the magic will still be great. So, thank you very much for having me today, Red Mage.
Thank you for subbing in kind of at the last minute, because my usual host under numbers was sick, so he had to take the week off.
Yeah. For new viewers, I mean, just to give a quick preface to what Canadian Highlander is. Canadian Highlander is a 100-card unified format. So singleton is, I guess, what unified means. That may be an archaic term now. With the vintage ban list as far as legality. So basically, everything is legal with the exception of manual dexterity cards, weird old cards like Scheherazade or Storytime. If you don't know that one, look it up. It's a sweet card. And then anti-cards.
Yeah, it's basically the cards that don't work. The cards that literally do not work are not legal in the format. Everything else is good to go.
So everything else is good to go, but there is a caveat to that. There is a pointing system such that each deck can have up to 10 points with varying points based on power level, ubiquity of cards in the format. So if you're curious about what those points are and kind of what governs how you can build in the format, please go to the Canadian Highlander WordPress. You can do a quick Google search on Canadian Highlander, maybe even put WordPress after it. You'll definitely get to it. I think they're going to be changing their site out relatively soon. But as far as catching up on what legality or what points are attributed to each card that's on the points list, go ahead and check that out.
I'm just trying to figure out if I had set up, because I wanted to set up links to all this stuff so in chat comments, but
most definitely, yeah, it'll definitely I think help newer viewers, because I mean, I know the first thing I thought when I saw a 100-card format, I'm like, what is this, Commander? And then I watched for a second, I'm like, why do they have 20 life? Why does someone have Goblin Guide in play?
I haven't yet, but I'll do that maybe for next season at this point. Either way, I think I do have set up is that we have a very active Discord, which is great. And full of awesome people that will try to help you, and also me, but will probably yell at you because I'm an old, kind of an old fogey. But outside of that, there's you can get help, you can get started on the format, and I did put a link for that in chat right now. Also, on the Discord, you can sign up for this very event, and it's important to know that this is the last week for this season. But we're about to start the next season. We don't plan to have a big stop in between this season and the next one. What we're probably gonna do is, if you're tuned in this week, tune in back next week for the end of season championship, which we're gonna have, and there's gonna be more details coming up on that on the Discord actually in the next few days. and then hopefully the week after, or maybe the week after that, we're gonna have to see how long it takes to get things ready. We're gonna get to start the new season and get things going. It's probably gonna have a new time. If you want to participate in the new season, now's the time to join the Discord, because we're gonna be talking to the players by running a poll to figure out what the time for the next season is gonna be. We're probably not gonna be in the same time slot again. So school starting again. There's gonna be a lot of people's schedules are changing, including mine. So it's gonna be a bit of a we're going to find a new time so that works better for our player base, and that's a wonderful opportunity to just wrap things up, crown a champion for season 3, and then take it from there. If you want to join the tournament, it's just a matter of showing up on the Discord. There's announcements that go up, and you just fill up the form and DM me, send me a deck list, and we're gonna be good to go. And then you show up on the weekend and play some powerful Magic. It's pretty great.
And frankly, if cost is a concern for you, I think there is a lot that can be done with a very limited budget, especially on MTGO. I think one of the top point leaders right now in the league, and correct me if I'm wrong, Red Mage, is actually Gosmit. He's on Red Deck Wins, which is like a less than 30 ticks deck.
Yeah, and Gosmit is currently in the lead. And also, there's card renting services that can help you. If you want, if you're not the type of person that just gets one deck and gets really, gets extremely that's probably a good idea, Rakasi. We might try to jump on that and see if we can get at least I totally agree. Arakasi mentioned in chat that someone should make a list of MTGO budget decks so that people new to the format can just jump right in, and I 100% agree.
Yep. Nope, I don't disagree at all. I think it's also, it's also like, what do you want to play, and then kind of reaching out to the Discord. I think the Discord is a really good place to start, because I think there's some folks with some decent experience that can definitely share, especially if you're coming from like an EDH or Commander, or maybe just I think in general, Legacy and Vintage skills tend to port over better than EDH and Commander, but you kind of get both groups of people. But helping to develop context on the format, and what works, what doesn't, and then what's budgetary on MTGO, because it's really kind of funny. The cards that you would think would be really expensive because they're expensive in paper are just not on MTGO. Like Moxen are $3, on MTGO. Force of Will is still pretty high, but
cards tend to be generally cheaper on model. Cards that tend to be still expensive are cards that are legacy staple, modern staples, or pauper staples, kind of regardless of rarity. You see cards like Pyroblast, worth 15 ticks, or was for a long time. I don't know if it still is. And Gorilla Shaman, which was the stupid Mox Monkey, it was worth 1 billion tickets for
I don't think anymore, but at one point, yes, it was a very expensive card. The same with Rashad Import until it was printed again in Mercadian Mask when it was remastered, and then reprinted again as a promo, all that.
Wasteland, before Tempest Remastered, Wasteland was crazy expensive. You would end up trading multiple Black Lotuses for a Wasteland, and that would be
Yeah, so it's just a different, kind of thing. For folks who are kind of uninitiated in MTGO, it's still alive, it's still kicking, it's still a great way to be able to play the game. Are there issues with it? Most certainly, but I do think in general, from having played this game on a few clients, outside of playing it on paper, it's probably my second favorite way to play it, So it's definitely a handy tool to have around. And the cool thing about it is it's just very convenient. I can jam as many games as I want at Canlander. It's rarely a difficult thing to find a game.
All right. I just posted the matches for round 1. We're going to have to see some powerful Magic, and our feature match is going to be Ramy versus Bailite. So people get out of this chat, and we can start getting on. As a reminder for our players, please do not directly challenge each other. Please make a tournament practice. Game in the tournament practice.
So we're going straight 25 minutes then.
If it's not in tournament practice, I can't watch it.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm
everyone
saying
is
it's
up.
25 minutes at that point. So
Yeah. So we're gonna see Bailite is going to be on his usual Abzan control.
Abzan versus Bant Blink.
Yeah, and Bant Blink is gonna be the deck.
This should be a great matchup because, like, I think
we're gonna see some value. It's gonna be exciting.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting, right? Because I think Bailite's deck probably accrues less value but has more powerful bomby cards.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Ramy's deck is going to grind more cards, but I think the independent card quality is going to be a little lower in Ramy's deck. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how it works out. I think in general, the card advantage deck, like Ramy's deck, the grindy deck, is probably going to do a little better over the independent power quality, but it really depends on what Bailite opens on and how fast he can kind of get on the board. But he plays like
now you get to see the lovely Hangouts cold noise in the stereo as we wait for people to pick up their call and share their cam. Sorry about that.
It's not a big deal. I mean, if we don't have the hand cam right away, I think we can still probably start the game. I mean, if you want.
Yeah, no, we are. Okay. Luca. No. Okay, so I'm waiting for the game to pop out in the thing. Oh, wait a second. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, never mind. Yeah, okay. Ramy made the... Yeah, there you go.
All right, game should be up now. Yeah, I'm checking out Moto.
I did just see that pop out, and I have hands for Ramy. I do not have hands for
Bailite yet.
For Bailite yet. Hopefully that gets fixed soon. In the meantime, I will move us to the MTGO live screen and start getting the hand cam set up on screen.
And I will advise fans, I may be a little bit desynced because I am not a technically savvy person because I'm an old grumpy man like TRM said there. So I am watching actually off of the stream feed. So if I'm a little bit off on my commentary, I apologize. But hopefully I'm able to add some value to the decisions on gameplay.
I do like you.
I do like the lo-fi UI control. That's definitely what Bailite's on. Bailite definitely on Abzan. He has a pretty signature Abzan deck. One cool thing about Bailite's list is they tend to run like interesting cards that you don't tend to see in Canadian Highlander. Like I don't know if Red Mage, I don't know if you look through his list. He tends to run some interesting. Whoa, that's a Storm hand. Is Bailite on Storm?
Oh, that's not the list that I was given. That's
Ramy.
That's Ramy.
Ramy's on Storm. Ramy's on
Bailite
Storm.
wins the match? What happened?
Oh, no. What happened is Ramy chose the wrong deck. He chose the wrong deck. Yeah. That's what happened, man. So for the fans out there, it's a really easy thing to do. Moto's kind of gone through some UI changes. And if you don't like go through and select the deck specifically, if you just click on the match, it doesn't let you choose the deck when you go into the match. It already has a pre-selected deck. So that's what happened. It thought he was playing Storm.
Hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Definitely not Bant Blink. Mm-hmm. Storm, probably a harsher meta call deck for this format. I don't know. Storm is like one of those decks that like can just win any event. Like it's a deck that like habitually can turn 4 if you play it well.
Okay.
But I think Bant Blink is probably more situationally well set up for this meta.
Bant Blink is also sweet, which is the other.
What's that now?
Bant Blink also has the characteristic of being sweet.
It is a cool deck. It's a very cool deck. What do you think of this hand? This hand's a little bit slow. It's got value in the form of Recruiter of the Guard, which can find like a Finks if need be, but it's just kind of 2-3 drops, no acceleration. I don't know. I think I'd probably take a value mole on it.
Yeah, that's what happened.
All right, so we've got both players' hands now. Yeah, he takes a value mole, and this hand is also kind of. I think this hand's a keep. Yeah. It gets a breeding or birthing pod down relatively quickly, which can help fix mana. He's got 2 creatures that he can play with it as well, which allows him to kind of set up his birthing pod. One of them instant speed, which is not irrelevant, so you can kind of fade some removal to get the birthing pod going. Obviously, if the pod gets blown up in this hand, it's kind of all for naught. I also like Bailite's hand. I think Bailite's hand's pretty good. It's got, a decent threat in the form of Bitter Blossom. I don't know if it's the best threat in this matchup. It's got good acceleration with the Mox. Eternal Witness to buy back whatever may be relevant, card draw, and then the best point removal probably ever printed in the game. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him just Night's Whisper on turn 1 here, just to kind of get set up. He could go Bitter Blossom turn 1 and be aggressive, but I don't know. In the dark, I don't know what's the right play. I'm kind of curious to see how he plays it. Night's Whisper is how you kind of set up options for later. Bitter Blossom is how you get at.
I would probably lead Bitter Blossom just because it's like
So,
there is my reasoning is simply that there is a number of like Bitter Blossom is better the more turns it stays on the field, whereas Night's Whisper is kind of the same. Like
100% agree. 100% agree with that in a vacuum. I just think the one difficult thing is stating that is that, when you're playing against Bant Blink, I don't think Bitter Blossom tends to be a threat that really matters that. I mean, like, you look at Ramy's hand, he's got stuff like Eldrazi Displacer, just going to blink that Fairy Rogue every single turn if it wants to. I mean, it's not mana efficient, but it's a thing that his deck can do, or finds like a Sally Pride Major or Rex Age or Night of Autumn or whatever. And it's just not a threat that really does. I don't think it scales that well in this matchup. So I could see
that takes up a lot of their mana.
I could see an argument though for not playing it because they want to develop options for their lines later on down the road. I think it could go either way. I don't think playing the Blossom first is wrong whatsoever. I can just see the decision going either way. Ramy manages to snag a land here with the Aven Mind Sensor. He was kind of going through the line that I talked through at the beginning where he wanted to, so it gets removed, where I think he wanted to leave it up so he could play it EOT and then pot it the next turn. But what ends up happening here is he plays it out because he can get value off it right away. And he does. Missing land drop there is really big for Ramy. He really wanted to hit land there so he could activate Birthing Pod the same turn.
Oh, this chat.
What's going on in chat? I can't see it right now.
I'm just gonna post it in chat. I'm just gonna post it in Twitch chat because it's funny. But
is it?
So Ramy said, "I don't understand how model defaults to deck," and Bailite answered, "By no reckoning known to mankind."
Yeah, that is not untrue. I think it goes to the last deck that you've edited in your deck editor or the last deck that you played. Is kind of how it tends to work, at least in my experience. All right, so Ramy evidently doesn't have a card that he wants for 4 mana over the Displacer. I feel like if Bailite hits a land here, which he's actually missed, which is good for Ramy, he could probably do some pretty bad things to Ramy. Both players missing lands here. Kind of we're both fighting with a limited mana funnel.
But that means that hand is kind of full straight gas, so...
Both of them have gas. I mean, like, Birthing Pod is no joke. It's gonna, it could turn this 2-drop Ooze, if he ever gets his green source, into a Rex Age or a Night of Autumn to deal with the Bitter Blossom. See, Tainted Pact, very powerful tutor, searches for any card in Bailite's deck 'cause he's not playing any double basics, or if he is, it's a Snow Basic and regular Basic. Just finds a land here because that's the limiting factor in this hand, really.
I love what one of the things I love about what Modern Horizon.
You've got your pictures. You got your pictures folder up on.
Yeah, that sadly had to happen, but
no problem.
It's gone now because sadly. So things about Moto. Moto does not work in. Moto does not actually work in window capture. You have to use screen capture in order to work with it. So anything that pops on the screen, you guys get to see.
What do you think you go for here with this pod? 'Cause he's in a pod here. The fours in this deck notoriously aren't that great. Like they're good, but they're not. Maybe just a Vanifar so you can double pod.
Palace Jailer is never the worst.
Palace Jailer against a Bitter Blossom is not good. I'm gonna say no thanks to that.
No, you're perfectly right.
You're not wrong. That is the top. That's the premium 4 in Ramy's deck. It's probably the defining card. In Ramy's deck, it's the strongest one, but in this
actually, I like Resto Angel because Resto Angel plus Displacer can build some sort of infernal blink machine.
Yeah, so he's going for the longer term value line. I'm not sure if it's correct to not just get rid of the Eldrazi Displacer and blink the Blade Splicer to make an additional 3 power, so you can kind of pressure on his opponent who's at 7.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's close, right?
Oh, Bailite's at 7? I had not noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, you may want to just go for a tempo line here.
Yeah, no, okay. Given that Bailite's at 7, I kind of might agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think it's the displacer long game is better, but like this game doesn't feel like it's going to long game. I feel like it's going to come down to quote unquote coin flips on the blossoms to like just pressure them out, force them to block. And if you turn Bitter Blossom into Black Force Field, which is a joking name that I have for that card, and if anyone's unfamiliar with the card Force Field, it's an OG Alpha card.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's 3 mana, tap 1, and prevent all but 1 damage from an attacking creature. But it's not targeted, so it can actually deal with True Name Nemesis, stuff like that. But like when Bitter Blossom starts turning into that, it's not great. So we see a Swords to Plowshares likely. In a blink, this is powerful. So Swords to Plowshares gets blanked by the Cloud Shift here, which is one of the defining, like that set of cards is like one of the defining set of cards in Ramy's deck. All right, so we found a colorless source here.
It finally happened.
One of the issues with these filter lands is that sometimes they just don't do anything. Kind of awkward. So what 5s do we want to go to in the deck? Or do we want to go to another 4, like a Palace Jailer? I don't know if Palace Jailer is really where you want to be.
Okay. I was advised to turn on Moro, and to turn off Moro sounds, which I did. Also, we know this match so far. It's 0-0, so I should probably that. Okay.
All right, so Bitter Blossom has kind of turned into Force Field here, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean... But it's... Oh, okay, yeah, fair.
So now I think you actually just go and get the Palace Jailer, get rid of the last Fairy Rogue, and then just put them on the back foot entirely.
Jam, yeah.
Yeah, I would just jam, I think, the Jailer here off of the Displacer. Yep, okay. So he's getting rid of his Flyer, which is interesting. To get Thragtusk? Okay. I guess he doesn't want to lose to a Tempo line.
To be fair, Thragtusk will just...
I just think for me, like, he's got a lot of cards in hand, so maybe
I agree
that
there definitely was a line where he would have just gone for it, and he decided to take a much more conservative line, which I don't know if I 100% agree with.
I can agree with the conservative line here. I mean, his opponent's already got a clock on himself, and he's blocking with it, so that means, like, in my head, if I'm in Ramy's shoes, I'm thinking, all right, my opponent just is trying to stay alive, which means they're having trouble getting their mana.
If you don't lose the game, for long enough, you're gonna win the game in this situation. So
yeah, I can see that. That's not a poor way to play this. I mean, when you're far enough ahead, sometimes just doing nothing is right, or doing something that's a lower upside play for your opponent is not right. Or if they have the highest upside hand, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
All right, so we blink here, make some 3/3s. This also is really good with Displacer. I mean, we get to see the Thragtusk gain him 5 more life and make a Beast token, which continues to put pressure on his opponent. And now we might just see... I could see Scavenging... probably just Teferi Bounce the Knight would be what I would do, I think. But could also just play... Okay, yeah, he is. He's just tapping all of his mana, so he has Birthing Pod mana available. Survival of the Fittest, not a bad draw, but I don't think necessary here. I think the game's kind of already in a spot where, it's not looking good for Bailite.
Yeah, I think survival, like, especially you already have pod around, I don't think survival is strictly necessary. What do you think?
No, survival's best in the formative stages of the game. I mean, like, when you get it late like this, it can still be good, but, like, this is going to be an attritional matchup, and unless you have it early, like, I don't know. It really just, it's going to be variable, right?
What do you think of this Tiny Teferi in the Blink deck?
I think, here's the thing, right? Like, and I kind of like Ramy including it. Like, it's kind of like Ren in 6, right? The card is so independently powerful that, like, I think if you can run it, generally you want to run it. Because, one, what is the Bant Blink deck not that good against? Counter spells. It's not good against, like, blue-white, like, blue-red, like anything that has counter spells to stop the relevant stuff that it has going on, it's not very good against. And at the end of the day, its independent threats aren't like that game-breaking. It's not like you're going to flood the board with like Goblin Guides and just like beat those style of decks, which is what generally tends to beat them. You're going to be playing like one threat a turn, and like sometimes you'll get a blink effect off, but if they're just killing everything you do, like Teferi in general tends to at least break that parity because they're not able to counter your stuff. They're not able to remove it at instant speed. They have to play basically fair magic on their turn. And I like it from that regard. It also rebuys an effect if they want on your own creatures.
It can kind of slow, like, blink things the hard way where you have to then recast them from hand. But
yeah, but I think even aside from that, I think just being able to bounce something and have an effect that basically stops your opponent from playing at instant speed is just huge.
Oh, the passive ability on Teferi is dumb. Like, on a hand that actually does stuff, it's kind of insane.
Yeah. Well, in that static effect is... They should have probably printed static effects on Planeswalkers, but that aside, it's happened. It's already happened at this point.
I mean, not all of them. It's more like... They printed the static effects on Planeswalker, right? And they got, like, 35 out of 37 of them right, and then there's 2 of them, or 2 or 3 of them that are kind of
Well, I would say that this card, Karn the Great Creator, and Narset,
and Narset, yeah,
broke Vintage. They broke Vintage. I mean, like, Vintage was just completely effed. Excuse my language. It was just like, broken half.
Vintage is vintage. Vintage gets broken pretty frequently.
No. Like, here's the thing, man. Like, when you have a guy like Rich Shea, like, not playing Vintage anymore because the format's so effed up, like, it's effed up, man.
Okay,
like,
that is effed up. Never mind.
Like, I stopped playing that format. I stopped playing that format because it was effed up. I'm like, this format's so effed.
No,
like, I'm not
if the Athoglory is not like jamming anymore because the format
he was jamming Legacy, and it's like this format's F. Like, I didn't play it either. I was like, this is just not fun.
Do you think that the restriction of Karn the Great Creator did enough?
I think Narset probably should have gotten restricted too, but I think the format's in a much better place. I think they did a lot of things that needed to happen. There's probably one more thing, which is Narset, that I would have gotten rid of, just because I think the card is it's easier to deal with than Karn is. I'll give it that. It's a lot easier to deal with than Karn. You have Pyroblast. Well, Pyroblast deals with it, whereas Karn, you have efficient answers to it, so I think it's a little more fair. But that said, it doesn't lead to good games of Magic. It just leads to like these games of Magic where like if you high roll your opponent out with it, like you just win, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I don't know.
For the most part, I think most Vintage players don't want to play that. They want to play like interesting interactive games where you're not turn one-ing people. Like, you can turn one people,
Dredge, but
yeah, well, Dredge is generally a budget. It's generally a budgetary option. Let's be honest.
Also, to be perfectly fair, Dredge this day in Vintage is an interactive deck. They play like 8 pitch spell to interact with the opponent.
That's
right?
the problem. That's why it's funny you say that.
That's why Mental Misstep got restricted.
Amalgam, Prized Amalgam made that deck much more interactive because it gave it the density of blue cards that it needed to run Force of Will.
Play Force, yeah.
Which is actually what broke the deck. The deck was fine before it could actually interact well, but once it can interact well at instant speed, it's 100%. A problem.
No, I'm with you there. And like
once it's able to beat the faster combo decks, it's a real issue. Like if it can't beat the faster combo decks, it kind of tends to balance itself in the meta. But anyways, that's Vintage. We're talking Vintage. We got Canadian Highlander in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, we had a game that was dragging itself back.
That's true. And that's kind of like one of the things I was talking about at the beginning is like I think the value deck in general, it's not going to win fast, but I think it is going to eventually just dredge all the powerful cards out of Bailite's hand, deal with them, and then be up like 3 to 4 cards, and then just win with those. And like as you kind of saw there, like one incidentally with like 1/3/3, an Eldrazi Displacer, which is a 3/3.
Bailite needs to get an aggressive hand, basically. Bailite needs.
That's kind of what I was saying. I don't like Bitter Blossom in this matchup specifically. That's kind of what I was saying. I could almost see maybe generating the options a little earlier. So I don't know.
Yeah, but definitely Bitter Blossom did not look very impressive on that.
No, it's not good in this matchup. It's a really great card.
It's awesome.
And like against control, like it's just generally going to be game over unless they like vindicate it or like Council's Judgment it pretty fast.
Well, we see the Bitter Blossom again.
Yeah, and now we're going to actually see the time frame when so this is what's going to happen. We're going to see a Bitter Blossom come out more than likely. That Mind Twist was a great draw though. Yeah, so I think we're going to see a Survival on turn 2. Survival is going to try to find a Knight of the Autumn. If Mind Twist can get lucky, if he high rolls it and hits the scoos, he could take Ramy off of using Survival effectively. Not likely to happen anymore because he hit a second creature, and he'll likely find like a Knight of the Autumn or Kasali Pride Mage just to blow this thing up. I think Bailite here is probably just going to kitchen things. There's an argument for grappling with the past to set up your next land drop, but I think he'll just develop his threat.
Grapple with the passes in his deck? That's awesome. I love that card.
So yeah, Bailite runs some interesting value cards. Like you could definitely tell he's more of a value Abzan player. Like he has some interesting cards there. Like he has like Skinner, Obsessive Skinner in his deck.
Obsessive Skinner? Wow.
And so if you're not familiar with that card, that is a 1/1 for 2 mana that
I'm gonna pull that card up in shot.
Okay, if you have Delirium, it puts a +1/+1 counter on one of your creatures. Which with the persist creatures he's running has some value, and then it's just a value card.
Yeah.
It's the beginning
I definitely remember it being something Delirium +1/+1 counters.
Yep, it was pretty good in that limited run. We're going to see a Mind Twist here. This is going to get all of Ramy's hand, which is a beating. But the thing for Ramy is if he draws a good creature card, he can just transmute it into something that deals with this board state, and he's got the answer to the Finks right now. I'm curious to see what he does with this Plow. I like him saving this. I don't think the Finks is what you want to kill. The Finks is kind of already dealt with by the Scavenging Ooze if you can find another thing to trade off with it.
The card that is left most in Bailite hands is an Exhume, right? No, sorry. It's
Unearth.
It's Unearth, yeah.
Yep, sorcery speed, 1 mana, black, return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard, or cycling 2. Or cycling 2.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets to, like, do that with the Finks, that's pretty spectacular.
And I don't know...
hits the Kalitas.
The Finks is, I think, going to be dealt with later on down the road. And the problem with Unearth is it's not really going to have that much utility here because you have Ooze on the board.
Yes, but if you unearth the Finks...
It's sorcery speed. So it can't instant speed in response, is the problem.
Sorry. Yeah.
So he tries to trade off with like another creature. Like his ideal draw is to draw like any creature, transmute it into what he wants here. That's not a creature, so that's not good.
If it wasn't terribly clear, I am half doing tech stuff in the background and half paying attention to the game. So sometimes I'm like, wait, this is happening now.
Yeah, these games are quick too. I mean, these players know what they're doing. They're playing fast. Inquisition could have been what he wanted to see off the top there.
I would like the interesting part and the relevant part of the game is quick. Right? Like the last game.
Great. So real big pickup that we just got a Abrupt Decay. That is either going to kill the Ooze or kill the Survival. I think I actually like killing the Ooze first. I don't know. It's tight. That's really aggressive because like that Survival can be problematic. It really can be. I don't know if it's going to be able to get him back in the game, but like so his.
We haven't seen the Survival activate in the last few turns, so it feels like maybe what's going to happen.
He got Mind Twisted for everything. That's why.
For sure. My point is that like his reckoning is he doesn't have creatures right now and probably win the game before he does because he has lethal on board.
Probably. All right, he's dead now. Yeah, that's probably the game. I don't think his deck is a deck that can come back from this much board advantage after drawing another mana source.
I think he's just dead. I think he's just lethal.
No, he's damage short. He's a damage short.
No, the Obsessive Skin is damage.
Okay, well, I have delay. I'm watching off the stream, so I didn't see him get that. Yeah, if he has Obsessive Skinner... No, yes. Obsessive Skinner is lethal.
Yeah, Obsessive Skinner can put a counter on anything. And let's go to game 3. These have been some pretty interactive, grindy, fun games. That's
well, as interactive as you can call a Mind Twist for 3. It's good magic though. I'm joking.
I like that after the Mind Twist for 3, the game was like. It still wasn't like, there was still stuff going on. The Survival of the Fittest. Survival of the Fittest is a hell of a card.
It is. The problem was there. I mean, Ramy. So Mind Twist kind of determined the outcome of that game, coupled with the fact that Ramy just drew 3 irrelevance after it happened. If he had drawn a creature, I think he has a good chance to get back in the game, but it's tough.
Ramy goes Tundra, Mana Crypt Recruited for Palace Jailer, and he has the land to like Palace Jailer.
Yeah, but the thing is, the thing is, look at Bailite's hand. He's got Thoughtseize, so he can deal with this. He's not out of the game. But the
still has Brago and Delano, what else? Which are
the Brago is going to be problematic with the recruiters, so he realistically really needs to kill this Brago as well.
Yeah, there's a Gaunty and a Tasigre in his hand, so...
Yeah, neither of which are great at dealing with this board state.
Gaunty might find something. But it's also a while away. It's like a couple
Most of the Blink deck, though, like it's all just like random kind of value, good stuffy stuff. It's not like really like stuff that independently is good. It's just kind of just all good together.
Oh yeah. But you definitely
cards like Glimmer Post Stag Elmer. There, it's just like not a card you really want to find with Gaunty. It's a cool card. The Elk.
Sure. No, you wanted to find the removal spell, which I'm assuming the Blink decks have some numbers of.
And like even like him here, him's very powerful, but like it doesn't really do enough. It fuels his graveyard, lets him kind of power out a Tassiger possibly a little sooner, but like. Hitting this hand's not that bad. I mean, like
it's better than not playing anything.
But now Palace Jailer can get like the Eternal Witness. Not Eternal Witness. If he doesn't hit the Wooded Bastion, he can get Eternal Witness, get back to Palace Jailer, and then kind of just probably lock the game up. It really depends on what Bailite can draw. If Bailite can get like a Toxic Deluge, I think he could really turn this.
Yeah,
That would
Toxic
be.
Deluge, Damnation would be good.
I don't know if does he run Damnation in that list. That's a very creature heavy list.
I'll take
T-Del, I bet he does, but Damnation is kind of more of a tech card. You don't see it as often.
I'll take a look.
Yeah. I like this line from Bailite. He's recognizing that he's kind of behind in this game and he wants to develop more options. He pops the Dial Spellbomb, getting rid of Ramy's Graveyard, which does turn off the ability for Ramy to possibly get back that Palace Jailer. It's probably the best card in his deck. It locking up a position ahead like this, which is strong, I think. And he ends up finding an Abrupt Decay. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to cast the Abrupt Decay this turn because of, honestly, because of how he tapped. The Mox would have been better to tap there than the Land of War Waste. Because then he could have played the Godless Shrine and then Abrupt Decay the Recruiter before it got blinked. But now, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do that. But he can at least Tame the Turek here.
As far as I can see, he does not play any Wraths.
Yeah, Toxic Deluge would be the only one, yes.
No Toxic Deluge.
Yeah, so it's going to be like stuff
Deluge,
like probably
no
like...
no Into the North. No, Into the... I keep getting Into the North,
Into the North.
and
Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter
yeah.
And like I say always Into the North first, and then I correct myself and I say on thin ice, and that's my sound. It's like, come on.
It does something with snow.
Yeah, sometimes no covered lands, whatever.
So Bailite down to 11, under a lot of pressure here. Let's see what he ends up finding with his Recruiter. The Soul Herder makes good sense. He's going to be able to get value off of the Recruiter again here at EOT.
Yeah, Soul Herder is kind of a messed up card, honestly. It's another one.
If it lives. If it gets blown up, it's just a 1/1, right? Like,
sure.
It's just a 1/1.
It's a 1/1. It's not going to just randomly, but it's...
The problem is, so the Blink deck,
Sorry, Blink Nemesis is a way to, kill some stuff in 1 billion turns, approximately.
Oh, is that what he just drew? I'm a little delayed on this end, so if he just drew that, that's not really a great draw, though. He's going to have to Gonti here and, hope to hit, a Wrath.
He could Abrupt Decay the Soul Herder, just to, start, taking care of business there.
Yeah, and then he's actually able to also cast out the Tassiger as well, to have a blocker on the ground, at least. I don't know how much that does for him, but, I mean, it's a thing that can be done
the Tassiger can also attack.
Yeah, but Ramy's 20 life. He's got a block. He's going to kill him if he starts attacking. He's at 11, right? So Tassiger's not... He's really more...
But it's in 4 damage for 1, right? The Brago is unblockable because of flying. The Recruiter is, the Recruiter is only 1 damage. That's the only thing that Tassiger will do.
Yeah, I just think when you're at this low life total and your opponent is getting a free card every turn, you're kind of hoping to win Crypt Flips here.
Mold Drifter?
Yeah, now we're going to draw 4 cards this turn, in addition to drawing another card off of the Recruiter or finding another card off the Recruiter. So we're kind of in a rough spot. Yeah. I don't, it's going to take a Wrath, and it's like we said, the Wrath's not in his deck, so
nope,
not good, not pretty.
I can give you the full list of all of his sorceries if you so desire, but
no, I played against Bailite a decent bit, and he's very dedicated to this deck, so he always plays this. This is all I ever play against. All right, this is all he ever plays against me. I think anyone. So I'm pretty familiar with it. I was pretty sure there was no damnation.
He brought a different list.
He changes cards in and out. He changes cards out. I've never seen.
He definitely brought a completely different archetype to the 10th point 1 week.
Really? What did he bring? I've never seen him play anything other than this.
I'll give you the information in a second as soon as...
I'm just curious. Because I always rib some people. I'm like, oh, Abzan again today? and there's nothing wrong with playing Abzan. It's a very good deck. I think here, though, we're going to kind of see the vast advantage kind of take over.
I am full of shit. That is that is where we're at.
No, and there's nothing wrong with playing a similar list every time. Bailite just I think really loves this list.
In a different one.
Yeah, he loves this list. I mean, he just loves playing Abzan, and that's great. It's a good deck. It's definitely done well in a lot of tournaments. I think he's one of your point leaders, if I recall. I don't know the point standings that well.
I'll take a look. I mean, he didn't come a ton of weeks. I think I only see him in the spreadsheet. This is only the 3rd week that he's here. But he's done relatively well when he did show up, so... there's that.
Yeah.
He is currently 7th in the standings. No, 8th.
Yeah.
Sorry, he has 8.5 points.
Yeah. There's a
So
lot of cards.
I guess that actually this is a good time to remind people of the standings. We have the top 4 right now in the in the standings is there's Gosmith with 23.5 points. And we have Ramy sitting 718. Notably, Gosmith is not here this weekend. Ramy is. So Ramy might be able to take the lead. And
he certainly got this game.
Yeah.
This is a great time to do this because this game's over.
Yeah. And we have WolfgangCloud sitting at 11. And in 4th place, we have a tie with between Windy Del Carlo at 10. And my very co-host Lumeno 2 with 10 points.
Seriously, I've only played this thing twice.
You only showed up twice, but you did very well. Your win percentage I have at 83.3% in games, which is nuts.
Yeah, I'm a cheater. I played Death and Tax. I played Death and Taxes.
So
yeah, I played Death and Taxes.
And Windy isn't here, so actually this tie for 4th means that you might end up. We might end up with you next week too. Actually.
Windy, actually, he plays blue-red spells, right? He's a blue moon player, not blue moon, but like blue-red spells, kind of like tempo.
He plays a blue-red tempo deck that goes a little bigger than most blue-red tempo decks do. It's not like he's playing like Jace the Mind Sculptors and stuff, where like it's it's geared to be able to play the control game a little bit. It's definitely a tempo deck. Like in character, it's a tempo deck. But you can build your tempo deck so that it goes a little bigger, and that's what he did.
What I recall about his list being like is a specific thing about his list is running Fevered Dreams.
Yeah, that's a kind of a pet cat for him.
Oh, is it it's tech? I mean, it's a good card in certain metagames. It's very strong.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you resolve Fevered Dreams against the control deck, they're like, what?
Yeah, you're dead. Yeah. No, it's funny. If you're gonna need me to play today, I was actually gonna play Esper Midrange. I've been working on that list.
Nice.
Yeah, I was playing Wolfgang actually the other night.
How big does the deck go? Because I've had a conversation with some people in the past, right? And we were like discussing how big the Esper Midrange like would go. Like, are you trying to like be fairly aggressive and playing like the angel, the angel that only goes on 3 and stuff, or are you like going all the way up to like, I don't know, Elspeth Sun's Champion, for example?
No, Elspeth Sun's Champion. It does have a couple 5s in the deck. The notable 5s are Batterskull, which is intended as a 2 off of Stoneforge Mystic. It also runs Custody Lich on the top end, and then Mystic Confluence. That is Force of Will, which is not a real 5-drop. So like Force of Will and Batterskull really aren't true 5-drops.
Yeah, and Mystic Confluence is stupid. Like, that's
it's
not
really
the real Magic card.
It's good. So the thing with that list is it's been one I've been working on for a while. I would say like the closest analogous deck that it plays out to, but it is distinct from, is probably Jeskai Midrange. And that was kind of the model that I tried to use for building it, because I think Jeskai Midrange is just one of the best decks in the format. I think it is the best deck in the format as far as match neutrality. Yeah, as far as match neutrality, I think if you play that deck well, you have to still get lucky. Obviously, you just doing Magic. I think you can generally always take down an event with it. It's more of a match neutral deck though, like that. Yeah. The problem that you run into with like when you go Esper is
wait. You can't play Custody Lich. It's broken on MTGO. That card doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, right now it's Scarab God, but I mean, like if I were to play it in paper, which I mean, I try to build my decks like I would play them in paper, like it would be Custody Lich. Right now it's Scarab God, which is Caracas bait and it's just like a big dumb 5 that doesn't do anything when it comes in, which I tend to be against. But yeah, so. The deck is interesting, right? So it replaces a lot of the burn with either
in the meantime,
much more
Bailite is amazingly dead, and this game is over.
Yeah, he's made a game of it though. I mean, he's been killing the stuff that was relevant. He used a Venser that he found off.
Yeah,
of
he tried his best.
It's just this game's been over for like 3 to 4 turns. It's been over since the Mana Crypt hit, and he couldn't do anything relevant the first couple turns. Didn't find what he needed, and that's not like anything on Bailite. It's just like you get some of these draws, especially.
I booted up the game between Pantaleon and. Words elude me. And Lucas.
So Pant will be on blue-white. He always is.
Yeah. And,
or they always are. Yeah.
Whereas
And then Luca is on pod.
Yeah,
he's
on the Bant Blink Kiki, no 4-color nonsense pod.
It's greedy pod. Let's just call it greedy pod.
Yeah, it's greedy pod. Yeah, greedy Kiki, I guess, is the.
Yeah, it's a variety of that. It's a very greedy. I mean, like, you see a sparring mummy in play, it's greedy.
Yes,
card is. It's a combo card. It's good when it's good, but it's not good all the time.
Definitely would count it as greedy.
Of note, we do have a Phantasmal Image that has copied a True Name Nemesis, which is kind of a cool combo because Phantasmal Image is...
nice downside.
Yeah, Phantasmal Image has a downside, but it doesn't really matter when it's protected from everything. That said, against blue-white, True Name Nemesis doesn't tend to be that strong. Like, they can blow up the board if they need to.
Yeah, they can blow up the board. And, like, Pantaleon has a Jace the Mind Sculptor in the future side. Like, he's not terribly concerned.
I don't count Luca out of this though, because he could just drop a red source and win right now. Like if he drops a red source and has the Splinter Twin, he could just win, or a filter land into a Kiki Jiki, just win. So I don't think he's this is not a card you want to play to win. This is a good blocker. This is the definition of a bullshit wall. The card that redraws itself and just sits around and does nothing.
Thanks Arakasi for the mention. I'll change the overlay names. Yeah, like I play. So in paper, I have Blue Moon fully built, right? But I don't have an Ancestral Rehold, so I'm playing Small Point. And a thing that I noticed, and I mean the Small Point says I play the True Name Nemesis. I attack very little with that card. It's like, I'm just gonna block forever with this thing. Yeah,
it's a wall in that deck. It's definitely a wall in that deck. And like True Name's weird because like it's really good at stopping races from starting, but once a race starts, it's not really good at stopping a race.
No, but it does attack for 3 every single time.
Yeah, it does do that. But sometimes 3 is just not enough. Like
true, 100% true.
Mm-hmm. And it's not per se great against Trample. Trample tends to be bad good versus it.
Accurate.
Siege Rhinos and what are they, Spark Elementals and just random stuff like that. Random stuff. You generally tend to get it like Ball Lightnings. Not saying True Name Nemesis is a bad card. Actually, if anything, the more mid-range I play in this format, like Esper mid-range plays True Name. I play True Name Nemesis in that deck. It's an equipment deck. It's a Stoneforge Mystic deck, and that card is one of the better threats. It's really good at carrying equipment, that's for sure.
Yeah, that does it. Strap a sword onto that thing.
Yep. So, I do think Pant has
Carving that curry added.
Yeah. Oh, you never see that one before? It's a good old one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's 2/5 for 3 mana draws a card. It's like...
It blocks very well.
It's like a Wall of Blossom. It has a Phantom, but it's a Wall of Blossom with...
I mean, I wouldn't call it as good as Wall Blossom. Wall Blossom is just being 1 green mana in a greedy deck.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm not saying it's as good, but it's not. Yeah. It's not a terrible replacement for a Wall of Blossom.
No, I think he's playing both. I think he's playing all of them.
Yeah. Plus, 2 power is a lot. 2/5 is a big creature. Yeah. You have to play. You usually have to play a lot of mana for a 2/5, not 3.
The limiting factor is just the 2 green. The 2 green is just tough, I think. In general.
For sure.
This Renegade Rallier is going to trigger because he ephemerated the Carven Caryatid at the beginning of his turn.
Yeah.
We may see a remand hit this here just to draw into this memory lapse. I actually kind of don't mind. Here's the thing. I think I like remanding this to draw into the memory lapse and see if I can generate further options.
Also,
the future sight.
You when you're Pantaleon, you have infinite cards, right? So you don't care. Just do whatever.
Yeah, but he also needs to deal with the True Name Nemesis, because he can't really attack with his True Name Nemesis.
Yeah,
but his opponent can attack with his.
I agree, but you at this point you have infinite cards. Just dig as deep as you need to find the Wrath of God that you need, and so cast as many cards as you can for the top of your deck.
Yep, he just wants to make land drops and eventually wrath, and then once he wraths once, I think the game's over.
Yeah, if he finds a wrath, the game's over for sure. Ooh, Knight of Autumn is gonna probably take care of the future side.
He's got a memory lapse in hand, so that can be stopped. We know he's got a memory lapse for sure. Yep. And he's going to see a lot of cards. I mean, he's going to memory lapse this and still have mana available to search for his Kanta. So search for his Kanta is either going to find the Wrath he wants or find the counter spell for the next thing that's relevant. I think is how we'll see this play out. We also still know that he's got the 3-2, the Rallier in hand, so that's a card he could play eventually. Could see him do it here if he found a fetch land. That tends to be a common use of it, is just use it to buy back
fetch land. Yeah, that's...
All right, so Factor Fiction's being cast here, which, you know, is well, there's the Wrath of God. That's probably going to go in a pile all of its own. I don't think you need to take lands here. Caracas is the only notable land because it deals with Kiki specifically, pretty specifically. Okay.
There is something I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 cards in Magic, in the whole of Magic, that have the word Caryatid in their name.
Yeah.
Opal Caryatid is just an enchantment. But then it becomes a soldier. Like, that's their creature type once it animates. It's one of those enchantments that then becomes a creature. Carven Caryatid is a spirit, and Sylvan Caryatid is a plant. What gives? Why? Like, why?
Dude, like, when it comes to super types and subtypes on cards, like, I don't know.
Ooh, Wrath of God. Wrath of God's on the stack in the meantime.
Yep. Untapped target permanent. Interesting. He's either cycling this to get to a card. Honestly, I kind of think I like actually tapping down one of his opponent's land. Can that tap down a land? An opponent's land?
Which one was cast, sorry?
He just cycled the Vizier of something.
Oh, it can tap or untap any permanent, I believe. A permanent you control?
Yeah, I kind of actually like... Oh, is it you control, or is it anyone controls?
Let's find out. Card Vizier of Tumbling Sands.
Because I actually like tapping down one of his opponent's lands there to keep him off of Absorb. If
it might just untap. It might just untap stuff. Yeah, untap target permanent.
Okay, it doesn't do both. A lot of the older ones did both, and I wasn't
Cosmic,
sure
what do you mean you didn't even realize there was a tournament today? I pinged you multiple times on Discord. Like, I wanted to make sure that you were there to defend your title.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're still in round 1. If he wants to jump in, is there enough slots for him to jump in, or are we too short on players?
7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be a bye.
Yeah, that's just not.
Yeah. Glimmer of Genius, and not a bad one. More cards, never a bad thing.
Yeah,
I think I would have waited. I would have waited on that Seed of Sign-On, though. So I think, in general, I would tend to main phase this Glimmer and then try to hit a land off top first. All right. Let's see if he gets a little bit punished by playing the Seed of the Sign-On out. No, he does not. So he gets a negate. I failed to notice what the Impure Recruiter... Or, actually, the Pure Recruiter didn't resolve. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right, Gideon. Gideon will probably make an emblem here. The problem with Gideon's emblem against creature combo like this is that they can just make enough that they can attack the Gideon and you simultaneously, so you end up with no Gideon on board. Yeah. So the emblem in this matchup tends to be a little bit more underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, in general, the emblem is not as good against... Like, I have found... Decks. Yeah, basically that's it. I found it to be significantly better against decks that can't just attack.
Gideon's kind of a card, though, that has honestly grown on me a ton. I really love it in these like mid-range style decks because like it's never really bad in any matchup. It's at the end of the day just a threat that kills people, kills things.
I mean, it attacks. I think in general the power of Gideon of the Trials is just not the emblem. The power is that it's a threat that can also act as a removal spell. Like it acts as a removal spell temporarily.
Yeah. I think the emblem's a big part of that.
I mean, the emblem is definitely like. It's better for having the power to make the emblem. The fact that it can make the emblem makes it a better card, for sure. But, like, I think that the reason to put it in your deck is that it's a card that is a flexible threat that can be a removal spell or a threat, depending on what you need. And then, if you need the emblem, you have the option to make the emblem.
The fact that it can stop the unfair decks, like Storm in this format, is really big to me. Like, I think when you have a card that does everything you're talking about, but also has the ability to stop...
But also has the opposite. Yeah, especially because, like... So in Modern, for example, right, Shard of the Trials doesn't really stop Storm because they're going to Grape Shoot for 23 instead of 20 and kill the Shard.
Correct. When you're using Tendrils, a little bit different.
But Tendrils does not do that.
So one interesting to note, we kind of missed this in the game state because it's still actually pretty contested. The Knight of Autumn did resolve, so he did not find counter magic, it appears. And all right, so this is going to get negated. The finale of Devastation. I still think the advantage is solidly in Azor's Angel or Pantheon or Pants. Corner. Oh, he wins the match. All right. I was going to say, I think the advantage is still solidly there, but he did deal with the future sight, which is pretty big.
Alrighty. So I will need them to give me. Okay, Pantaleon beat Luca in 2. That was only game 2. That was some long games. Right.
Yeah, they're going to end up being long, but I think in general, like, this is not the matchup that Luca tends to want to see. Blue-white is really good against like the more value-oriented mid-range decks because it just accrues more value through 4-for-1 Wraths. You know, it can counter the relevant stuff. Just a harder matchup, I think, for the pod decks in general.
For sure.
That and then like the really unfair stuff, like, you know, it's just tough.
All right, I'm gonna take a look at getting us started on the next tournament. In the meantime, while I do that, why don't our players tell us what they thought of this round, how things went for them?
Sure. The games we had were a little clunky. We both were stumbling on mana, but then we eventually, game 1, Lucas stumbled on mana and didn't get there.
Game I miscounted my mana and ran into a counter spell.
Yeah. And then game 2 was a lot more back and forth, but I found the wraths that I needed to reset the board when I got behind. I almost lost to a Phyrexian copy thing copying my true name, which was going to be an awkward way to lose.
Yeah, we had some interesting games. Like turn 1 or game 1, I looked at my openers like, I guess I have to keep this, right? It was like Mishra's Workshop, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, a Signet, and then like some other stuff. I can't remember exactly what. But so a Worn Power Stone. So set up for like 11 mana on turn 2 if I wanted. And then I just drew like Rings, which I cast and then got destroyed because he was on medium red. And then like nothing basically, and just sat there and got beat down. And then game 2, I got Magist, but I was able to land Urza, and I had 2 artifact lands in play, so I had my blue mana. And I set up Paradox Engine Capsize Lock, and so just won there. I spelled T on my keyboard. And then game 3, I just was too slow and got crushed by dragons.
I do not.
So I think we're going to have actually kind of an interesting set of games here. You know, with Panth on blue-white going against medium-red, you know, I think historically, like, the red deck wins decks tend to be really good against, like, the blue-white control decks. But medium-red, I think, kind of offers an interesting matchup from the standpoint that if Wolfgang, you are medium-red, right? I heard dragons, so I assume medium. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of an assumption on my part, but I heard dragons. Okay. But I think it's actually kind of an interesting matchup. I think it is winnable.
Can the people, before we talk about decks, can people leave this chat? Because I don't want to tell everybody what their opponent is on.
I thought everyone friggin' knew. I don't know.
No, that's fair. I'm just.
They all play the same thing. My bad, guys. Sorry.
All right.
Didn't mean to ruin it for you.
Pantaleon, I do have your webcam. Just
cool.
Sorry, Panth. I didn't mean to give away your secrets.
My secrets?
Your secrets.
Everyone
knows you play blue-white, but I mean, everyone knows Wolfgang is always on aggro.
Mute yourself on Hangouts, actually, though, because I hear echo from you.
Oh, sorry. How's that?
That's better. Thank you very much.
No, people know I'm on blue-white now.
Yeah. Oh, boy. It's a shocker. Do you have Azor in this list? God, I hope you have Azor.
That's a secret for the audience to figure out.
Okay, we'll wait.
I have the deck list. I would just check.
If you kill medium red with an Azor, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to give up on life.
Okay,
like, how
I'll let it go. I did kill Luca one of the games with Azor.
Nice. Yeah, we didn't catch that game, so I think it would be pretty funny if you beat medium red with Azor. It probably wouldn't be the reason you actually win the game. It'll just be because they just failed to set off and you counter everything. But
yeah,
it'd still be sick.
You don't like. After you have the hand control of the game, blue-white kind of wins with the ham sandwich, right? Like,
it doesn't matter what you win with blue-white. You can win with anything, you know? I tend to think, like, Entreat's probably the best way to win, but, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it could be Elspeth's Son's champion, whatever, you know?
Sorry, I gotta leave because I'm not able to friend Wolfgang properly.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay, I have
Okay.
everybody.
Yes. Okay.
Wolfgang.
I'm going to. What I'm going to do is, I think it's because you weren't friends. I'm not friends with you, so maybe.
Yeah, I'm kind of. What's our
Okay.
premier match?
Wait a second. Wolfgang, can you hear me? No. But please mute yourself in Hangout because we can hear you on stream. Okay. Hopefully that gets Wolfgang to mute themselves.
I do not know how to spell today.
I think that's... hey Wolfgang, can you mute yourself on Hangouts because I kind of can double hear you. Or rather, I can hear you on stream, which is bad. And in the meantime, I'm going to... Okay. Yeah. Okay. The matchup is pretty much ready to go. So let's move to the. MTGO cam.
So, sweet guys, we're going to be catching some blue-white, like big blue-white control versus medium-red. So, medium-red, if you're probably familiar with red deck wins if you played a little bit of Magic. Medium-red is kind of the next genesis of that in this format, which essentially means that it plays a lot more 3 through 5 mana threats, and cards like Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, Crystal Vein, Mana Vault, big mana production, like big early mana production, so they can just continually drop bombs on folks. I think it'll be an interesting matchup from the standpoint that, well, I can't see Wolfgang's hand, so I don't know how fast his hand is. If he's able to get out of the gates fast, okay. If he's able to get out of the gates fast, it's going to be a much tougher matchup for Panth or Azor's Angels. You see them on screen. But if they're a little bit slower out of the gates and don't have good early pressure, there's a Soul Ring in that draw, plus a Mana Vault, which means we're going to have a fast game. Looks like it's going to be a turn 2 Big Dragon, 6/5. Spear Guy. No, he's going to do turn 1 Magus. That's interesting. Interesting line.
Magus is not the best card against blue.
No, against blue-white, it can be good, but like it's in general, like if he doesn't get to do anything this next
the deck does play like a good amount of duals and non-basics just because it doesn't usually play like Blood Moon effects itself. But it's a 2-color deck, so there's only so many non-basics it can play.
The tricky part in this game is going to be finding the time to resolve this Latnam's Legacy. This Latnam's Legacy needs to do the heavy lifting of getting rid of Azor or getting rid of Future Sight, which are both duds in this matchup.
I love Latnam's Legacy so much. I love that I get to play it.
Yeah. This is actually an interesting sequence because what's he casting here? He can't cast anything anymore. He needed to use the Soul Ring mana. I think he may have missequenced that, which is big. This is actually a real big mistake here, and I'm not trying to make fun of it, but like it's a harsh mistake because it's going to allow Panth to get off this Latnam's Legacy. Yeah, well, the big thing is it allows Panth to actually draw into more cards. Unfortunately for Panth, he didn't find lands. He's kind of like in a spot where like he's just stuck. Yeah, and this Glimmer of Genius cannot cycle like what's that card called?
Hieroglyphic Illumination.
That's it. Yeah, Illumination. It can't cycle, so you can't find land that way. So he's kind of just stuck sitting back on this counter magic right now.
Come on, Loman. You're a fellow control player. You should know all of these throw spells by hand.
I play it too. I'm the worst at card names, man. I know what they do, but I'll forget the card name in a heartbeat, especially the ones that are newer printed. The tough thing here is that like the Mana Leak is kind of in a dubious spot. It can't actually protect. It can't actually deal with most of this stuff, or it can. At most, what it does is tap
Mana Leak reads mostly like top Mana Vault. Top target mana.
Yeah. I think missing the land there is really big. All right, now he's got a land. So Enlightened Tutor could possibly. I don't know what he runs in the deck for Enlightened Tutor to find. I mean, right now I don't think putting a non-land. Yeah, putting a non-land on top of your deck seems dubious.
Yeah, but like mostly I'm assuming it's for Terminus or Entreat the Angels.
No, Enlightened Tutor, not Mystical Tutor. Mystical Tutor, I know exactly what that does.
Oh, yeah,
I know,
sorry, I did not know this, because it's the new art, so I didn't realize that was...
Correct. I don't remember the names of new cards, but...
Yeah, no, it's just that, like, Mystical Tutor, you see the lady with the book, and you're like, yeah, okay, Mystical Tutor. But Enlightened Tutor, that's a new art, I don't... Okay, now you pique my interest, and let's figure this mystery
What it
out.
can do is find Pithing Needle here, which we saw in the last game. Pithing Needle can shut off the Chandra Torch of Defiance.
I'm surprised that he's on Pithing Needle and not on
if you're running Trinket
Spyglass, but it might be he might just
Trinket Mage, bud.
Oh,
that's why.
Mage, right?
Yep.
Why? But then play Spyglass and play Tribute Mage.
Yeah, but Trinket Mage gets Sensei's Divoting Top, which works really well with Miracles.
Top, right. Okay.
Yeah, Trinket Mage is the best mage for this deck if you want to play the artifact package. I play Trinket Mage in mine for Nile Spellbomb to stop the Loam decks, and then with that was okay. So he gets an answer card.
I play Trinket Mage in at least one of my control decks. It usually gets voltaic, but
yeah, that's Time Vault. Yeah.
You also play Tribute Mage in that deck, by the way.
Yeah, you basically play all but Treasure Mage. Treasure Mage is probably the worst mage in this format.
I don't play Trophy Mage.
I wonder if we're gonna see this dragon develop here. I wonder if we'll see the Mystical Tutor actually just find the Terminus on upkeep, or if we'll see him try to take a draw here. What do you think? I mean, we're gonna develop this Hellkite and hit for 8 year.
Yeah,
but
I think
I'm curious to see if Mystical Tutor just. It is. It's a very large hit. You definitely want to find your lands, though. I think it's really tough here not finding your lands, because you need to be able to develop this Glimmer of Genius and get to a point where you can cast Mystic Confluence.
Yeah.
So I can see a Terminus happening.
To answer this stuff.
Well, the dragon can only attack this turn, and then it's a turn away from attacking again. So
yeah,
you have a turn. I'm curious to see what he does. All right, he's going to find the Terminus. It looks like.
Yeah. I think like you're at 6 life. You can't really be too fancy. So
no, I think it's right. I just think there's definitely a debate there. It's not like 100%. It's probably like 80%. Like you should do this, but
all right. So he plays 7 targets for Enlightened Tutors, which are Search for Ascantia, Future Sight, D-Sphere, Cast Out, Sensei's Divining Top, Pithing Needle, and I left the best one for last. This one's a spicy one, Phyrexian Furnace.
You missed 2. There's likely a Seed of the Synod and an Ancient Den in the deck too.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry. Yeah, okay. They're listed as lands, but yeah, no, probably.
Yep. I play Seed of the Synod in mine because I'm playing
we see Ancient Den on the battlefield right now, actually. Also,
yeah, this game just probably ended. I can't think of cards that get him out of this. Timely Reinforcements. Nope, doesn't. No, that works. It gets him out of it for a turn. All right. The problem here is even if he was able to deal with the creature, even if he deals with the creature here, he dies to the Arc Trail, so the game's over.
I'm surprised seeing Phyrexian Furnace over Relic Progenitors.
I am not. He plays Delve cards in his deck, and his graveyard matters for cards like Snapcaster Mage. It's actually something I talked to him about.
But
Phyrexian Furnace is not a great card. I like Nile Spellbomb, but I splash black. I think it's a better card than Furnace.
But like Relic is such a more powerful card. I think you're probably priced into accepting that sometimes you have to nuke your graveyard and hope that you don't have to, but
it's a big cost. I've played it in those style of decks. You don't it's too much in my opinion. For that deck. All right, so I'm going to make fun of Panth. He is bottomed Azor twice. Just make sure you note that. He used Latinam's Legacy to get rid of an Azor, and he just bottomed Azor. I'm just saying, like, he was talking up Azor. Like, this is what Azor does to you. He makes you, like, just have 6 card hands.
It's almost like that card is not very good.
Yeah, it's almost like it's you automatically mulligan when you draw it.
It's like...
I'm sorry, Panth, if you rewatch this. No, it's a tough matchup though, man. Being fair, it's really not an easy one. It's
like basically every card that they play is like a mass dancer threat, but also realistically, Azor is just not that great of a card. Like it's
what is Pithing Needle doing here? I can't name the Mox Ruby. The Mox Ruby is a mana production ability. Pithing Needle can name it, but it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh no!
Just preempted
I think we're going to find this the hard way. He may be thinking it's a Revoker effect.
Yeah,
like Phyrexian Revoker does mana, or it does artifacts.
Torch of Defiance.
Yeah, there's nothing in his hand other than like Arid Mesa or Arid Mesa or Najila.
Caves is interesting.
Yeah. I think I would have held the land here just to abate the damage. Yeah, Cryptic Caves is kind of a cool one. It's a colorless source for your Eldrazi, and it's a card draw if you're kind of out of effects.
Yeah.
Um,
No, limited all the time.
Interesting from the standpoint that I think the red deck wins matchup is nigh unbeatable unless you really tech your deck out to beat it. But the medium matchup I think is winnable if they stumble a bit, because the medium decks.
Well,
with
so
the
yes
power
and no. They're very different. They're very different matchups. The difference, the main thing is that because the classic mono red aggro deck is so linear,
it's consistent. It's consistent.
No, but it's linear, which means that if you manage you can tech against it a lot more effectively. Whereas this deck is just it can stumble. It's not as consistent and it's not.
I'm gonna throw this one out there. I think just to clarify, these are both this deck and mono red deck wins Burn are both linear. They're both linear decks. They don't really have that much difference in how linear they are. I just think the high roll hands, the nut hands on medium red, are so backbreaking that you'll never come back from them. But the median draws in medium red, the draws where you're just 1 land, 2 land, 3 land, are a lot weaker. Versus strategies like this where you can counter spells all day long. But when you hit fast mana early, it's almost a beat. That's kind of just my take on the matchup.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a ton of experience playing against medium red, so I don't know how big it goes.
I was playing Wolfgang last night, actually testing out that Esper list, and I'm actually not a big fan of what the medium decks are currently doing to the format. I think they're warping. Because I think they have 2 free points in them right now. I think Crypt and Ring, I know, just talking to Ben, he's trying to get those cards both up. They should go both up to 4 points. They're more powerful than Moxen are. So the deck's kind of free rolling a free 2 points right now, in my opinion. And it's kind of a little bit format warping because the threats require specific answers, and those specific answers are really generally bad against most other decks in the format. So it generally makes any deck worse.
I am reminded of when I used to play, when I first built my Blue Moon deck. And right now, the build that I was running when I first started would be, I believe, 16 points or something like that.
Yeah.
Ancestral was at 5 and now it's 7. Merchant Scroll wasn't pointed.
Yeah. And it's a consistent process, right, to keep things balanced, to keep things in check. I think red deck, or this medium red deck, is at a point right now where it kind of needs a few checks. I think it still needs to be a viable archetype. But it was funny because I was playing Wolfgang the other night on this deck, and he basically had a turn 1 win. It was a land mana crypt into threat, and I died. And then, but the funny thing was, if I had been on the play, I had a Thought Seize just to get his mana crypt, and I probably would have won the game. Game 2, he has a Soul Ring hand, but I'm on the play. I have to rest. I get his Soul Ring. And I win. Yeah. It's just
I really like that because we have a points list, right? We have a lot more discretion in being on the position of we want these to be still a deck, but we want it to be weaker, right? That it's a lot easier to do that.
You don't want to have a deck that is always the right choice. If you have a deck that's always the right choice,
sure,
that's
but it's a lot. My point is in Modern, right? For example, they had to make Hogak weaker, right? But their options were ban Hogak or ban a card that doesn't do anything to the format. Whereas in Highlander, because we have a points list. You can be on a position of being, okay, let's watch some... do we want to watch Bailite versus Para or Ramy versus Luca?
Let's watch Ramy versus Luca. That's a value matchup. It should be a little more interesting. I mean, so we're going to have Abzan versus Academy combo, right? If we watch Para versus Bailite. Yeah. I think either one's fine. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting some Academy time either. That may be cool for the viewers. I don't know how often we see it on stream.
Okay. Also, if it's Academy, it might end up faster. So let's go watch that one.
Okay. In general, the value matchups are probably going to be better quote-unquote games of Magic, because I feel like the Academy versus Midrange is going to generally be Bailite gets the relevant cards out of his hand and then just grinds them out, or he gets a fast mana draw and just obliterates
him. But you also don't see a whole lot of combo on the tournament, so I kind of want to.
Yeah, but calling Academy combo is a little. It kind of is a combo deck, but it's really just a big mana ramp deck that just drops bombs, and there's combos kind of sparsed in there. But to me, it always just operated more as a ramp deck, just a big mana ramp deck. that just incidentally wins through a combo.
That's also fair.
It's a sweet deck. It's a sweet deck. I mean, it's Golos is in play right now, which is a card that they picked up recently, which is awesome. Card is pretty stellar. Yep, big Golos.
Well, I mean, okay, but it's a style of deck we don't see often, so I want to give our viewers the
most definitely. Yeah, no, it's a great deck. It's a fun one to watch. If he has like a wheel effect here, like this deck, all right, Reap Sows can untap the Tolarian Academy. If his last card is like a draw 7, the game's probably over. He probably wins. It really depends on what he draws off the draw 7, but he has a ton of mana. All right, so he has infinite mana available, but nothing to do with it. So this Mind Stone needs to find something good. So the way this combo works for the viewers is if you have Minamo plus Tolarian Academy, Minamo says pay a blue, untap target legendary land. Minamo is a legendary land itself. I think he wanted to untap that. Anyway, doesn't matter, but Rings of Brightheart, you can pay 2 to clone any activated ability. Because Minamo is a legendary land itself, it can untap both the Tolarian Academy and itself during activation for the cost of 2 additional mana. So it's basically 3 mana to make 7 mana, and then you just keep on untapping both and make infinite mana.
As long as your Academy taps for enough mana, which...
If it taps for more, if it taps for 4. If it taps for 4, it makes infinite, I want to say.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a miss.
For 7, so...
Yep. I think he wanted to go infinite try to go infinite with it. So he's probably going to get the Mystic Forge, I would guess. Actually, Expedition Map's a good one, too. Expedition Map can set up any artifact in his deck because it can find the Inventor's Fair.
Yeah.
That's also a solid one, but he goes with the Mystic. I think the Mystic, Mystic Forge is probably like... It's probably like higher... It's actually probably higher variance play. I think I kind of like getting the just search for any artifact in my deck better, because then you can get something like Memory Jar, and Memory Jar with infinite mana is probably lethal. I don't know. It's close either way. I don't know Para's complete list, and I'm not a committed Academy player. I play like eggs and stuff like that, but like Academy is not, for me personally. I think it's a cool deck, but it's not my kind of Magic. Very high rolly. All right, is he dead? He's taking 3 in the air, 3 on the 3 there. No, he's not dead. At least on board.
Arakasi in chat mentioned that he thinks it would be interesting to see stats on like what is the difference in win percentage between play draw in this format, which I think is actually a really good point. I would love to see that as well, but I don't have. We might.
Ooh, I don't know if we caught that. We just mind twisted for 1 and got that relevant card out of his hand. The problem is, Academy Runes just gets it right back right now on the upkeep.
Yeah.
So he could use the combo with Minamo and Tolarian Academy to make some blue mana. He doesn't do it, though. I don't know if... I think Para has this game more locked up than... I don't know. He took a draw. Maybe his draw was really good. I don't know. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Academy Runes already put it on top. That card wasn't in his hand already. So we know he's got the Mystic Forge. My bad. I am announcing this one. That card was still on top. For some reason I had it that it was in his hand. All right, so he's making infinite mana now. This combo is online.
Para will just cast that entire deck at this point.
Well, the problem is going to be he needs to keep lands off the top. He has a land drop still. We don't know what he has on top of his deck because Mystic Forge does not reveal that info.
No, Para's pronouns are they them.
What's that?
Para's pronounces are they them.
Oh, my bad. All right, so yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
Para. I'm just gonna say Para. I'm just gonna say Para because I'll forget. I'm old, man. I'm old. You know, I'll forget.
That's fair. I get that mistake in every single time, but it's okay. Para won the game in the meantime. But it's not the last game in the match, so we get to see them go again.
What did he end up casting that... Oh, he just gave... All right, he just threw the towel in. Okay, makes sense. So one of the cool things he could do there, if he found a way to make... I don't know. I guess there's no use to talk to the lines. There's a lot of interesting lines there with the Mystic Forge in play. I don't think he was deterministically dead, but, you know, it's not good. Not good for Bailite here. So... in this matchup, I think what Bailite probably wants to see, especially on the play, is like some good hand disruption followed up by a few good threats. I don't think, again, Bitter Blossom really shines in this matchup specifically. I think it's a good mid-range card. It's good against control, but I think he wants like good hand attack, good pressure, and then just, basically Abzan them out, if you will. Kind of like the Jund to light them out. I'm not sure. What does Para play as points in their deck? Is it, like Ring, Mox, Academy, Transmute?
I sound like an old modem. It's like,
Is that right? Yeah. So we see the start.
Give me a second, I'll figure that out.
It's no big deal. I was just wondering. It's probably that plus something else. Maybe a Seeker or something like that. So we do see a Bitter Blossom turn 1, which is actually the threat I was talking about. I don't really care for this matchup. I think it's too slow. But it's a threat. So
give me a second.
No threat is wrong. Bailite of note, missing is green mana.
Hey, no, I just wanted to say hi because I'm here to pack up all my stuff. I'll leave tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, nice. We should go get a drink or something.
Nick is having people over for a Korean barbecue at his place. If you'd like to go to that.
That sounds dope. Are you fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep me in the loop for. Yeah.
All right, so we get a Thoughtseize, nabbing a Saheeli, which probably means the hand's not the most high-powered of hands. It's probably more of a median draw for Para, because that card in general doesn't tend to be something that you would first pick with a Thoughtseize. Normally you'd try to get something else that establishes the engine a little better.
If you're still here in like an hour, I might come find you.
All right, so Inventor's Fair is a big one because it's going to allow Para to find any card they might need in their deck. The artifacts are the most relevant cards in their deck.
And I'm back. Sorry about that.
No big man. We were able to comment on it. So we did it. So Bailite's hand is kind of limited on green mana. We got to see a Thoughtseize, brother, and it ended up hitting Saheeli, which in my opinion, because we don't have hand information for this game, means that Para's on more of a median draw. But he played Inventor's Fair following that up, which gives him access to probably the most important cards in his deck. So we got an interesting game. I don't know if this Bitter Blossom's going to go all the way, though. I think it's going to probably fall a little bit short. It's a slower card.
Yeah, so we have results for the other game. Ramy got the win against Luca. So this is the last.
Ramy got Luca.
Match.
Yeah.
Ramy got Luca too. Huh?
All right, Walking Ballista. That's not really one you generally want to see when your game plan is making fairy rogues and your opponent's deck can make a bunch of mana. That may be a tough one to beat.
Yeah, you're gonna take one from.
Yeah, I mean that said,
take one a bunch, and also your rogues are also gonna take one a bunch. It's not awesome.
That said, I mean, without hand information, like Bailite kept this hand, so it likely has castable removal spells in it. Like we may see a Swords to Plowshares or a Path to Exile to just get this thing off the board. It's not actually going to exile it, but it could at least get it off the board. But with Inventor's Fair around, that's not even like a permanent solution because Inventor's Fair can get Expedition Map, which can then end up getting the Academy runes if you ever want to get it back. My guess would be you'd probably generally go for Academy first, but you could see that. All right, Knight of the Reliquary. This is actually not irrelevant because I don't know his point spread, but he's at least playing a Wasteland in this deck, and it can keep... right now, as the board stands, and given the information he has with Thoughtseize, I mean, it's very viable. He could just get a Wasteland to knock out this Inventor's Fair, or at least force Para to use the Inventor's Fair to find, whatever else they may need.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's okay, sorry. My commentary is like being kind of spotty, but I just realized that so the guy that you might have seen on camera right now,
I think we all saw a guy on camera.
Yeah. So that's a colleague that's about to leave. So he's in the office today to like pack up his stuff, and he was coming to say bye, and I wanted to like give him at least like a goodbye for now. It's and make some plans to, like, I don't know, go have a drink tonight and say bye. So he's a good friend of mine, and I'm sad that I'm gonna see him gone. But it's just that's why I'm a little scattered right now. I didn't realize he was gonna leave already, but
Yeah, no problems, man. I mean, it's we all get it,
that's yeah, okay. Either way,
What did he end up finding with this Inventors Fair? I did not see.
I don't have ants, so I don't.
Okay,
know.
we'll see momentarily then. I mean, my assumption would be it's either a way to find Academy or it's find a way to find cards. Basically, Inventors Fair turns into a win con, mana, or cards, which cards is generally going to end up equating to a way to win. So Reshape being cast for 0 into Mox Sapphire. That's interesting. I wonder if he's trying to go for like a second Sunrise play. Oh, he probably has Paradoxical Outcome. I think that's what he's trying to do, is set up a Paradoxical Outcome.
That's going to do it.
Yeah, that's probably what he wanted to do, is get another 0 mana artifact so he can do a Paradoxical Outcome, but I didn't see what the Inventors Fair got, so
yeah, so
I guess
if
we'll see.
You wanted to know Para's points, and they are Academy, Crypt, Ring, Mox.
Crypt Key, Mox.
Crypt, Ring, Mox.
Okay, makes sense. No Transmute, interesting. Yeah. I guess Transmute eventually will probably come off the points list and you can just run it.
Yeah,
I like Transmute a decent bit. So my guess would be he probably got Soul Ring or Mana Crypt, and my guess would be this next turn we're going to see him cast a Paradoxical Outcome to get ahead on cards and try to find a way to win. But I think we'll see. I think we will see.
I think I will now eat a donut because I'm hungry. I will return very soon.
Be curious to see what Bailite plays here. Not a real aggressive start from him, but I mean, this is definitely enough threats that eventually it is going to win the game. So we shall see.
Yeah, Bailite has drawn a lot of Bitter Blossoms in this turn.
Yeah, and like Bitter Blossom's a weird card, right? Like it's really good, but like it's really only good in like a couple matchups. Like it's really great in mid range, and it's excellent in against control. Against like these combo decks, I tend to like it a little bit less. It's just too slow. Yeah, it's very slow. I'm playing it in Esper mid-range, but that's more of a controlling deck, and like I'm playing equipment in there, and I think it has a little more synergy. But I don't know. I mean, Bitter Blossom's still a good card. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not a card that you feel embarrassed to play. All right, Drawn from Dreams. Interesting.
I really don't know how I feel about that card. It feels like there's better options. Sorcery is not great.
Yeah, I mean, in a big mana deck,
sign me up.
In a big mana deck, though, like I tend to think it's a little bit better. I mean, because it says 4 on it, but Academy decks don't really care about what the mana cost of a card is. If it's blue and colorless, it's good to go. Like you can cast it in Academy. I mean, you could win with you can literally win with a Mem Knight in this deck. Or I'm sorry, a Memnarch. You could put Memnarch in this deck, and it would be a way to win the game, and it would work some of the time. Like some of the time when you could make infinite mana, it would steal their whole board. It would steal their whole board, and they just lose. Is it the best way to do it? Probably not, but I mean, it would work. So see, Darksteel. So this game has kind of gone an interesting way for me. I'm not sure if I know how to read how Para is playing this. So he's tutored twice, which in general, if you tutor twice on this deck, I feel like you should be in a commanding position. But I feel like you should
have won by now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't feel like he's really doing that. Or they are doing that. Sorry. So I don't really know how to take what's going on right now. I'm not sure if I know how to read the situation very well. But yeah, like
has a pretty commanding board. Like Para's,
he's dead next turn. He's dead. Yeah. Like they are dead next turn. Like Para is dead next turn if they don't win this following turn, or find like an ensnaring bridge and dump their hand.
Like an army of blockers or something.
Yep, they could do that too.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me.
All right, Prismatic Lens is a mana down. So, all right. Urza, all right.
Make some idiots.
So, just makes one idiot. Now he needs like a Tolarian Academy. All right, the game's over, I think. I think that's it. Can this block out? So, Urza blocks the 6/6. The Construct blocks the 4/4.
Yeah, I'm assuming Gideon
And he
just emblems,
takes
yeah.
2 in the air, plus makes a 3/3 out of Warden, plus takes. All right, that's it.
Yeah, that has to be enough, right?
Yeah, that's it. Interesting game.
Yeah, I find it odd that Para he looked
He
like
inventors
really
fared for
far.
something. Yeah, he did. He looked very far ahead. Like he inventors fared for something, had a lot of time, and then reshaped.
He looked
and then
like he should have been
yeah.
in a more commanding position than what he actually ended up with, which is odd.
Yeah. He was a little mana choke, or they were a little mana choke. So, like, I mean, we saw them get rid of one of their lands and then, like, really not have great land drops afterwards. But yeah, it's Academy. I mean, it's tough, right? If you don't have the operative card Academy, it tends to make the deck a little bit worse.
As
Go
it turns
figure.
out, when I had this name, when the deck is named after a card, the heavy in that card is important.
It's pretty good. Yeah. In general, it is. Pointed cards are good. hot news flash here.
Did you know?
You know that Black Lotus is a hell of a card.
As it turns out, Black Lotus,
Ancestral Recall, Black Lotus, good cards. Win games of Magic. Same can be said of Academy, but that all said, I mean, like the Academy deck is really very highly built around that card. Like there's some Lotus decks, like for instance, Red Deck Wins, that like still have a good median game plan, even if they don't draw Black Lotus. And not all of them run Black Lotus, but I think they tend to. It's a fair Lotus deck, but Academy really doesn't function if it gets that vast mana advantage very well, because like we were talking about, like it has cards that are kind of like these big clunkers until you have infinite mana. And if you have infinite blue and colorless mana, like the big clunkers are great. Like, because Magic is a game that's designed with non-linear progression of threats. Like they just get infinitely more powerful the higher you go up in mana.
Luca says that he sadly has to drop because there is something leaking into the hole from the floor above, which sounds like a good reason for him to drop.
That ain't good. Well,
Bailite,
Luca, thanks for making it out, man.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'll let you know if you manage to snag first place. I will just give you a loss for the next. Actually, I can just do this. Drop Lucas after.
Oh, did Luca have to go?
Yeah, he apparently there's something there's something like his ceiling is leaking, and it's usually not.
Oh dear.
Who is this? Croc? I'll be here all week.
Croc's apartment or his house or whatever is continually under attack by workers and leaks and like I don't know. Like
I don't know
like
what Croc's living situation is.
There's like a habitual shitstorm just like spiraling around his house. I feel bad for him. I'm like, dude, like what's going on around there? Just crazy.
It's all Florida.
I mean, I live in Florida.
My condolences.
Yeah,
I don't have any issues with it, man. I don't have any issues with it, but I mean, it's just hot.
Well, that and the hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, people are just nutty. I mean, they get crazy about this stuff. I watched like some ladies fighting over bottled water at a place. I'm like, guys, you're terrible. Like, if you want to see what people are really about, like, have like a pending natural disaster, and you gotta get to see what they're about.
All right, the finals will be Ramy versus WolfgangCloud, and the other matchup is Bailite versus Pants, and Para gets the bye.
Alrighty. Oh, we got Benjamin streaming now too.
No, Benjamin. Now he's gonna steal more viewers. Damn it, Ben.
I don't know if we're competing with Benjamin, to be honest.
No, we aren't.
Let's be frank. This is awesome to get to watch powerful Magic, but yeah,
we aren't yet.
not yet. The 10th point's going up. Soon will be the 100th.
I'm hoping that the stream gets to grow. Like we have.
You just did like the best. You just did like the best Larry David impression I've ever heard.
I'm hoping that we get to grow the stream.
It's pretty good, I can't do it. That's good though.
I'm hoping that we get to grow the stream in upcoming season. Like this season went better than previous seasons, and Like, you know, I want our players to be, I want this to be a good platform to show the format, and I want this to be a platform that people can watch to view the format. And, you know, I'm trying my best to make it look like a quote-unquote commercial product as much as possible.
No, man, it's you know, it's awesome. It's definitely you know, it's come, I think, a long ways from what I saw, like the earlier ones to now. You know,
yeah,
and honestly, I think the format gets really well showcased from it too. I mean, it's a smaller event, but like it's good, you know, and hopefully more folks who watch it come out and try it.
I'm doing the goal here is that I'm trying to do the work to make it look like a quote unquote a like commercial product, and hopefully, you know, if you build it, they will come. I would love to see maybe some of the like. If we got some people like Ben or Jer to like show up on occasion, that would be super dope, because I think that would like cause us to gain a lot of visibility. Another thing that, like, I don't know, maybe like, you know, Ben stops streaming and raids us at some point. Like, not stop streaming permanently, but like one of his stream ends and we get a raid.
I can reach out to Jer and see if I think with Ben it's tough because I mean he's already got a stream schedule, so I mean, like, you know, real life plus having a stream schedule is quite a bit. But I mean, I can reach out to Jer and see if he can jump in sometime, man.
Who's calling me?
That question I cannot answer.
Oh no, that's it. Oh, I see. Okay, no, I know what's going on. Sorry. Yeah, okay, that was a Hangouts, right? We need.
That all said, I will give you this, man. My hat's off to you because you've done an infinitely better job than I would be able to do at setting up a stream. Because as you could tell from our dialogue pre-stream, I have very little technological acumen. I don't even know how to set up a Google chat.
I don't understand how X-Mage has like native viewer can see your hand technology and Moto doesn't. Like, that is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. I don't know. X-Mage doesn't work for me on my computer. It fails all the time. So
I mean, X-Mage kind of fails even when it doesn't.
That work.
So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, like, it probably has some cool, like, functionality over Moto, but, like, its reliability, for me at least, has been kind of lower.
No, I mean, X-Mage has a lot of problems, but, like, for being a free program, I don't understand why it has the capability of viewing hands when you're watching games, but Magic Online doesn't. Like, that's...
Yeah.
Anyway, we are heading over to the game, so...
Yeah.
Let's watch some stuff. Okay.
What are we watching first, man?
We're watching Wolfgang versus Ramy, because that is...
Okay.
That's the final.
Okay.
So.
This should be an interesting one. Like, I feel like if it's... Ooh, I don't even know how to call this one. Like, it's going to be tight. It's going to be very draw dependent. Like, if Wolfgang gets the fast mana, I think he can out-tempo Ramy. But if the game goes long, again, I think Ramy will probably get him because he just has a lot of value engines. But
can you remind the viewers what the matchup is, by the way?
Yeah. So for the viewers, it's going to be medium red versus... I think we've seen both the decks, but medium red versus Bant Blink is the matchup.
Both me and...
Ramy on Bant Blink, and then Wolfgang on medium red. So I think for Wolfgang, like, the game plan is going to be to high roll some hands, get some turbo mana, and just dragon 3 turns in a row, and win. That's what he wants to have happen. For Ramy, he wants to see Wolfgang play land, go, get to play land, maybe some of his acceleration go, land go. And then, if ideally for Ramy, if Wolfgang doesn't do anything for the first 2 turns, he's very happy. You see Wolfgang mulligan that first hand. It did have a Bomat career, and it had castable spells, but it just wasn't quick. Tell he's kind of value mulliganing. I think he's probably going to stick on this one, but it's a little 3-clogged. So 2-drop carry Zev into ideally one of these Rabble Masters, and then I think his hope is like, hey, I can ride one of these Rabble Masters to, you know, a position of a win. And
I love that this point there's like, what, 5 Rabble Masters in the game? But I love that
5 minutes in the game.
No, I love that there are like, what, 5 Rabble Masters in the game right now, and they're called just Rabble Masters because Rabble Master was such an iconic card that...
Yeah. Rabble basically...
Oh, wow, you just became a robot for a second.
Yeah, a 3-mana card that basically develops an army in a can over time and is a must answer threat.
And there are 5
gets to stick
of them,
around
right?
for more than a...
There's Rabble Master itself, and then
Kranko,
new
War Boss.
Kranko, Najila, Legion War Boss, and the one that has mailed.
You've got something in the middle, man. Your email account. You may not want to type into that with your password and whatnot.
Oh, my EA account? Holy shit.
Yeah, you might want to put that down. And it's covering the game. There we go. Good deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so Heart of Kieran was actually a pretty solid draw. It's a flyer that allows him to get through, but it looks like Ramy's developed very well too. He's going to have Kitchen Finks here, and then the following turn he'll have the ability to develop a Birthing Pod and activate it in the same turn. It'll require some life loss. He may also just Cloud Blaze. The City of Traders is actually pretty sick too. So what he can do here actually is he can play out the Rabble Master and then use the Rabble Master token and carry Zev to send over the Heart of Kieran to do 4 damage. You can actually a vehicle. You can deliberately choose to overcrew a vehicle with more power than you need to, and that'll actually allow him to save one of the tokens, so that if Ramy decides to attack it for some reason or other, he can just get rid of them. And if he, in this case, Birthing Pods away the Finks, he can. And the reason I mentioned that it's relevant is because this Goblin token does have to attack, and it will likely get blocked.
Yeah. Unlike, one of the differences between Rabble Master and, say, Legion War Boss is that Rabble Master, the tokens are always forced to attack, whereas with War Boss, for example, the tokens are forced to attack only on the turn they come into play. So the rest of only one token gets saved. Well, he can't save all of them by just overcrewing.
Correct,
actually.
But when they're together, everything just attacks.
Yeah.
When they're together...
Yeah, everything attacks
the only
forever.
doesn't have to attack is the actual Rabble Master himself.
Yeah. Unless you have 2 Rabble Masters, then everything attacks. Not in this format, but...
I think we're going to see a Palace Jailer here, which may be bad news for Ramy, because... maybe not, because the heart is still there. He may blow up the Heart of Kieran with like a Knight of Autumn. He can't do that. He can't do that, actually. All right, so he just blinks the Kitchen Finks. Because Flame Slash is not instant speed, it's kind of a little bit... It's degraded here. I think Wolfgang still has good inroads to win this game, despite having to beat a pod at this point. Because he can Flame Slash away the Angel, the 4-drop, and then play out this other Goblin.
Yeah.
And he has his Heart of Kieran to kind of protect his tokens and maybe get like one massive hit in. His opponent's at 18, but these 2 Rabble Masters is a lot of Rabble Master to kind of get through.
It's usually one more than is necessary to win the game.
Yeah, but I don't count Pod out ever. He's got a lot of life gain. He's, he's got an activation that's going to gain him some life next turn. He's got a Cloud Blazer to gain some more life and get a little more cardage out. These all have to attack if he does not use the Heart of Kieran to just tap them down, which I assume he probably does. Because he probably doesn't want to attack with the Rabble Master itself here. He's debating it, though. I think you just attack with carry Zev and then tap down all your goblins to save them for a later turn.
Yeah, because carry Zev can't be blocked by the Finks and...
Okay, he makes an interesting line, though. He wants to attack with 2 of the goblins to pass 1 more damage through.
Interesting.
Yeah, and obviously you have to tap down the Legion War Boss because... maybe he didn't. Maybe he also didn't recognize the interaction that you can actually overtap.
Yeah, you can overcrew.
Yeah, you can overcrew if you'd like, which is actually relevant here. But he also passes 2 more damage this way. So I don't know. It's really 6 of one, half as the other.
Thanks, Para, for the follow, by the way. It's nice to have that.
So we got the 420 Cloud Blazer. So what do we pot into
Blaze
here?
it.
Yeah, the Blazer. That's a cool card. You don't see it played a lot in this.
No, I don't.
So Woodland Bellower. Woodland Bellower gets Eternal Witness.
Yeah. Ramy has gained an impressive amount of life, honestly.
He can gain more life here even. He's going to blow up the heart. I like this play, blowing up the heart.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then you have Glimmer Point and Eye of Autumn to either gain more life or do some stuff.
Oh, wait, this may be big. Najila may be really big here.
Oh, yeah, a 3rd Rabble Master, just what we needed.
Well, yeah, it works very well with the other Rabble Masters. I believe at least one of them is a warrior. The other one may be a soldier.
Goblin Rabble Master is a warrior, Legion War was a soldier.
Yeah, and then Carrie Zev is what, a warrior, or is she a pirate?
Pirate. And so is Captain Lannery Storm.
Okay. I think I kind of like playing out the Najila here because you get the free token off it. I don't know. I could be wrong here. You're going to lose...
So Ragavan is not generated, never attacks, but I believe he's also a monkey pirate.
He is. Yeah, he's a legendary monkey pirate, I want to say. So you could actually bounce him with Caracas. I think.
Yeah.
I think he's a legend.
Yeah, he's definitely legendary.
Yeah.
He has,
it's kind of funny.
he
legendary
has a
token.
name. Yeah, legendary monkey.
I guess maybe Wolfgang probably did the math. He plays a lot more aggro than I do. He probably did the math. Maybe it just makes more sense to send in the Lannery Storm here, or the Captain Lannery Storm here, because it does more damage this turn. The Najila notably does not make tokens. It makes tokens, but it doesn't make them attacking, I don't believe.
No,
or are they attacking?
Doesn't.
No. They are tapped and attacking.
Oh,
they
yeah,
are.
actually,
Whenever
so
warrior
you could
decks,
play the Najila, and then...
I think the Najila was a stronger play, because you get at least one
you
off
get
of
at least
it.
one token, yeah. But Ramy's also...
Yeah.
Wait, isn't Ramy dead because the Barbarian Ring? Oh, no.
Barbarian Ring
doesn't
is
have a
5,
threshold.
so doesn't have it yet, yeah.
No threshold.
Puts him at 2, no Thresh, and he's got another activation here. So plays out the land. Actually, wait, this puts a 6th card in there. Can you get rid of one more card?
No. Najila.
Yeah, it doesn't appear he can. I mean, unless...
Yeah, but like... Oh, Ramy goes to 4 because of the Sphinx, right?
Yeah, no.
Ramy could also potentially plow his old Woodland Bellower to gain life.
Yeah. Yep, that's the thing you could do.
So I'm assuming we're gonna... Oh, actually drawing Flicker Wisp here is kind of unfortunate. So I'm assuming that now the Flicker Wisp is gonna reset the Sphinx and gain some more life, if I would guess.
Probably. The game just ended, apparently. I didn't see how it ended. Oh, maybe not. I just saw the hand cam go to sideboarding.
No, I didn't. I think that somebody just put something on top of it.
Sure. All right, so the 6/5 attacks, you probably just take.
Oh, so Sphinx flickers the Bellower, which I guess can find a creature that can then...
Yeah, Flicker's Bellower gets what?
Who sends away, pods away... Ooh, Obstinate Baloth. Ramy is not... It's like, Ramy is bringing the life gain.
No, this deck's very good against aggressive decks. Like, it was very close this game. Like, it was closer than you may think. That's why I really think that, like, the medium red deck really needs one of its, like, its quote-unquote nut draws. Like, it needs to have that Soul Ring or that Mana Crypt to really get itself in a good position to win this game. So, I mean, I think if he had it in this game, he gets it. But if you get to a place where you're grinding, it's tough.
Also makes it harder to get to Threshold for the Barbarian Ring. So
it does.
On top of gaining life.
Mm-hmm. Are these goblin tokens just goblins, or do they have like a subtype or a super
They're
type?
just goblins.
Okay. Yeah. What if there's a crazy way to like...
Tokens usually only have one type, unless there is like a specific reason.
So this is actually a pretty punishing draw right here, because he did play the land down to get rid of the City of Traders to get closer to having Threshold for Barbarian Ring, and this card is obviously, it would have been castable otherwise.
Yeah. This
which is a little punishing, but I mean, I can understand the line. I don't think it was wrong.
No, I think it was correct, but it's still not great.
Well, it's a thing that could happen too, right?
Yeah,
it's
and now
notable thing that could happen in the median case, because like you have a lot of 5s and 4s, so.
Notably, Lannery Storm's dead also, which means there is no, don't get some free treasures either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What does Najila... Not that he can activate, but what does Najila's ability do? Oh, you get another
like extra combat step or something.
And you untap your warriors or something?
You can pay Rainbow, I think you get an extra combat step. I forget.
Yeah,
I'm not looking at the card right now, but it's an ability that's never
I don't think it's ever been activated.
In Canadian, not in Canadian Highlander, maybe in Commander, but maybe in like 5 colors.
Najila's even that popular.
No, it's probably bad Commander. It's probably bad in competitive EDH.
Or in EDH in general, because it's like an aggressive card, right?
So what gets him out of this? Like, does Price of Progress do anything? No, I think the game's probably over.
Price of Progress 6 is him. Like, that's a start.
But we're not at a point where like he needs a good start. He needs like a card that just wins him the game here.
Well, I mean, Price of Progress plus Bolt does it.
No. There's a scavenging in Swords of Plowshares and like
never mind.
It's not a reasonable expectation that he also doesn't have Blink in his hand to blink the opposite Bailoff and just gain 4 randomly, or have like
a... Yeah, we know
he doesn't.
We know it doesn't, but yeah, no.
Yeah, but he
plus the pod
he
can
probably
always find
could.
something.
Yeah, and the pod's still going. It's like you need to win it all at once. I think in this case, I think it'd probably I think if I were in Wolfgang's shoes, I'd be like, well, we'll get him next game. I think you got to concede this one. I don't think there's much of a way to win it. I mean, you don't have to, obviously, but I don't see any way that he can get out of this.
Concede to save clock.
Yeah, well, yeah, and just I think if I were in his shoes, just knowing how medium reds build, I think it's. I don't even think there's a runner. I think if you Imperial sealed like 5 times in a row, I don't think you can win this matchup
like
at this point.
The top of your deck
I think if you cast a free Doomsday right now, you could not win this game. But I could be wrong. I could also just be wrong. I mean, maybe like drawing a Mana Crypt into like a Territorial Hellkite wins, but like he's not very far off from being dead either. This Ooze is going to go to 5, and he's going to be in a position where he has to start blocking, like because he's only at 10 life. And...
Like, Ramy has like a lot of stuff that can go in, but the problem is slammed with Bailite as well here.
Yeah,
like you're at 17. You're at 17 life. You have a lot of blowheads even if you slam with the Bailite. Your opponent doesn't have great blocks.
Ramy's playing this very conservatively too. I think I would just slam with all the things that can attack and just use the Gavany Township and then pod. Well, probably pod and then Gavany Township. Maybe Gavany Township mid combat if my opponent tries to get fresh and like make some like interesting blocks to try to kill my stuff. But...
Hello there, Soul Herder.
Yeah. But Ramy's playing this very conservatively, which is not a bad thing to do. I just think I would play a little more aggressively and end the game. Just give him less ounce. Well, all right. That gets a concession. Yeah, the blink on the Drag Tusk into 3/3 gives a concession.
No, I mean, the thing is that like I think you are allowed to play it conservatively because you are gaining so much life. Like, if you're playing like
no, it's not you're not allowed to. You're allowed to do anything in Magic.
Yeah, I know, but like in general. The deck allows you to play more conservative because you're gaining so much life, is my point. If you're playing like, I don't know, Blue Moon, right? Like, the deck can't really gain life very effectively or at all. So, once you are stabilized against your burn opponent, you have to turn on the afterburners and kill them before they throw like 2 bolts and kill you. But
sure. Yeah. No, and I played about control. I mean, I definitely get you, man. Like, when you're in a position when you've established that control, like the last thing you want to do
in a deck like these
is give it up.
Yeah, but in a deck like these, you are not at risk of losing the game after winning the game because you have stabilized the board, but now you also like in the next 2 turns you can get your life back from 2 to 17, which Ramy did. So it's like, Blood Moon.
Yeah,
Turn 1 Blood Moon. Let's go.
It's not a horrible line. I mean, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ramy has a Snowhover Dialogue, but he doesn't have a...
Birthing Pod. Well, Ramy doesn't really have anything going on, but Birthing Pod tends to be a card that helps fix mana, right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
it doesn't really
I think
care what color you use.
In this deck, the most important, like, basic to have is the Plains, not the Island. So.
You think it's the Plains or the Forest? I think Forest may be actually more operative.
Be Forest actually.
You have a lot of mana dorks, your mana fixing. I mean, you have a lot of white cards in hand now, so I mean, I could be proven wrong, but yeah, Ramy's just sitting here playing lands down. Doesn't have the mana to really play any of these things, but if he gets the ability to play one thing, all right, there's one of the cards like that you'd like to play, but his hand notably did not have green mana, which I think is generally going to be a shortfall for like a green X deck. I think green tends to be the most relevant in general for these decks, but that's just me.
This deck does end up playing like a lot of white cards. I think blue's the color that it plays the least of, but
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
like in green decks, the thing is that your early drops tend to be green.
Yeah, the ones that like give you your best draws tend to be green. Like your Avacyn's Pilgrims, your Llanowar Elves,
your Llanowar Elves,
your Deathrite Shamans, your Noble Hierarchs, your Birds of Paradise, all that.
Ramy draws a mountain.
No, I don't think Ramy drew a mountain. I think he drew a Krinko, right? All right. Yeah. No. I'm sorry. You're being tongue in cheek. I get you. Yeah, he drew a mountain.
Yes.
Quote unquote. Gotcha. Now, if Wolfgang draws a mountain, I think he can probably. He's kind of in a position right now, like he's just losing this mana ball. That's not what's going to happen. But one of the players will draw out of this and actually play a card. If Wolfgang draws a land, all right, that was a really huge draw.
You just created the Avacyn's Pilgrim, right? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was a big time draw though. Like that.
The Snowhover Forest is huge.
Yep.
Well, he's still can't really cast anything.
He's shred it, yeah.
That's Inca's Pod.
No, but he's got the operative color now. That's really big in my opinion. That could be the game-changing
There's another
player.
mountain.
All right, there is a threat.
Spod.
There is a 2/2 down. He really wants to hit a land or a mana source to play this Krenko out, because this Krenko, if given
This
opportunity, will
Hashmanctor
just...
also makes pods very painful.
Yeah, you're probably taking a minimum of 4 damage off your pod every time you activate it.
He does have green now, so he can activate for mana.
Yeah, but he's going to need to play a threat the same turn he does it.
Yeah, notably, he can't cast any of the cards in his hand at this point.
He can cast the Mana Crypt.
Well, okay. None of the creatures in his hand.
Yeah, I'm just joking with you. He gets the Mana Crypt out. I think we'll see the Eidolon develop here. Yeah, you just got to get a clock on him. You got to get a clock on him.
Yeah, this Blood Moon, I think, is
that
going to
sword is actually hilarious. That sword's hilarious. So, like, anything that comes down is like, now
How about
he needs to almost... So, like, if he draws a land now, I think it's honestly, like, probably better just to leave up Lightning Bolt, because, like, anything that lands and gets that sword locked up to it is just such a huge problem. Yeah, like, luckily, luckily he's not forced in that position, but, like, it's tough, right? Because, like, you want to develop, but, like, if your opponent plays anything, and you know they probably don't have it in hand, but if they draw it, like a Fibble Tip, right?
Yeah,
like, Fibble Tip...
The Fibble Tip is probably going to end up potted. I don't think the sword's going to get a cape to it. Never mind.
I don't know. I think the sword may be more relevant here than the pod, like, because you're very low on life. You need to have a good tempo line. Like, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Pod activation will gain you life. You can get things.
He equips the sword.
Yeah.
And now you remove this at instant speed. Yeah, I think this is actually right. I like Ramy's play here. I think it's going to get punished by this bolt.
Very heads up, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's the right play 100%. That's why I was kind of mentioning, I'm like, I don't think you really have time to pod here. I think if you're podding here, like, you're putting yourself too far behind. Now the rest, notably, the rest of the cards in Wolfgang's hand are not instant speed, so, like, now he's going to develop threats if he draws mana. That's a Chain Lightning. I think I just start throwing Burn at face here. At least probably the Arc Trail and then save the Chain Lightning. No, you Chain Lightning. You Chain Lightning first. Never mind, that's wrong. You Chain Lightning. It doesn't really matter, actually, because it's 2 damage from any 3-drop or less.
Did Ramy had 2 mana up there?
He does have 2 mana. No,
because he could have thrown the Chain Lightning back.
He could not have, because it chose to equip the sword. Once the sword trigger goes on the stack, Pod is a sorcery speed ability, so he cannot sack it in response to the
No. I was asking if he had enough mana to throw the Chain Lightning back at the creature.
Yeah, but he takes 2 damage off of it too, right?
I mean, he gets Chain Lightning, for sure. The question is...
and then he takes 2 damage off of cloning it, right?
I don't think so.
I have to reread the card. I'm not sure if it's a cast trigger or not. I don't know how it is. It may not have been. He could have, yeah.
Let me double check.
It didn't really matter if it was Chain Lightning or if it was Arc Trail there. The operative part was doing 2 damage to him, so he was down at 2. So any 3-drop or less that he cast killed him.
When you create a Chain Lightning copy and there is an idol on the field, you do not take damage. Because the copy is not cast, it just appears on the
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes good sense. This hand that Wolfgang has, I think, is a keeper. It's an odd-looking hand. But the way this hand plays out is it turn 1 Mutavaults into Soul Ring into Smuggler's Copter. Turn 2, it plays out a Lodestone Golem if it gets lucky and hits a land, or it uses the Simian Spirit Guide to force down a Lodestone Golem. I like that hand, though. I think you keep it.
Yeah.
It's awkward, right? Because it doesn't have red mana. It doesn't have sustainable red mana, but I think you still keep it. You really want to hit a mountain in the first turn with it, but it's a good hand. Now, when you look down at Ramy's hand, he's got access to a turn 1 mana dork, which is powerful. Oftentimes, it's this medium red deck is either going to remove your mana dork or it's going to power over.
Mana dork, turn 2 Kitchen Finks, trades with their Lodestone.
Yeah. Yep. But I don't think Lodestone's going to be attacking that much. I think it's going to be Smuggler's Copter trying to filter the draw out. I think the Lodestone is just a way to crew the Smuggler's Copter. So you can get your land drops and then eventually play this Sarkin and hopefully win with it. All right, there's a Crater Maker, which notably does not deal with Pod. It's kind of awkward against Pod. It does deal with little creatures though, so it's a thing. Could even see him just use the Recruiter of the Guard to find a way to answer the Soul Ring here. But, at a minimum, Wolfgang's going to get another draw plus a filtered draw off of the Smuggler's Copter, more than likely. Try to find that next land drop. I don't think you burn off your Simian Spirit Guide here. He may do it just to burn off this dork. I think I would say Bolt, though. He's going to burn off the dork. I don't know if I like this line. It's very aggressive. He's still going to be able to crew the Smuggler's Copter with the Mutavault if he wants to, but I think it's a bit aggressive. All right, well, he finds the land anyways. You slam Lodestone Golem here. And just basically, I think honestly he's going to win this match now. I think this may be a match winner because he's basically forcing his opponent to draw 2 more lands in a row, which is not. Those are draw steps you could have. Like each independently are the highest probability, but like drawing 2 lands in a row is not likely. So he took a very. He drew the land that he needed. I don't know if I agree with the play. I think it's a much higher upside, but very low floor play. I think the floor on that is like you just lose the game probably if you don't. I think your chances of losing the game are a lot higher if you don't hit that land there.
Yeah, for sure. But it's
a higher variance play.
He got rewarded. It's definitely a higher variance play.
Yeah, when
it pays off, you feel like a hero. It's like,
but that's not a line. I mean, this is a bad enough matchup. Maybe you just take that high variance play, and that could be like what he was thinking on it.
I guess it's. Yeah,
it's a hard matchup. This is not a good matchup for Wolfgang. I do not like this matchup at all. Like I was saying, I think he needs to. Yeah, he needs to have the Soul Ring or the Mana Crypt, I think, to reliably win it. He can win it otherwise, but it's just his deck's not fast enough to really pressure this thing. And if the value engine of the Bant deck turns on, you just die. And even here, like, again, Ramy did draw the land, which is good. So we're going to possibly see a game of Magic. But if he misses next turn on mana, he's, again, just dead. Like, he's just dead. That's the power of the
he might be
that
anyway. Like, Wolfgang
he may be.
For 10.
But at a minimum, he can get down a threat that blocks the Lodestone Golem, namely the Kitchen Finks. Now, if his opponent just draws a red mana source next turn, he plays a Sarkhan, he's just dead regardless of what happens. Yeah, game's over. Yeah, and that's kind of the power. That's kind of what needed to happen for Wolfgang there. Medium red, very powerful deck. I think Bant Blink well situated against it, but when it has those high upside hands with the Soul Ring and the Mana Crypt, which is very powerful, very tough to beat.
We'll see if this ends up being enough for Ramy. I don't think this will end up being enough for Ramy to overtake Gosmith as the
leader.
As the leader, yeah. I think he needed the win because he had like 5 points. So
very interesting matchup. I think
so
in general,
Wolfgang 2-1, right?
Yeah, 2-1. Ramy won the first one and then lost the second 2. So yeah. Turn 1 Blood Moon in game 2, and then off of Mana Vault, and then game 3 Soul Ring into a fairly high variance play that turned into if you drew the land, it was like you couldn't lose the game. If you don't draw the land, you probably don't do too well. But as it turned out, he drew the land, and it was just won the game almost on the spot with that Lodestone play.
Yep.
I felt getting greeting there was really in my favor, just for the fact that how powerful of a building block it was, because I could still crew Copter off of the Mana Vault.
Yeah, the Mana Vault. Yep.
So I felt that me getting a land was very, very likely. So I was just like, okay, I can beat in with Copter for a while. It gets past most of its dudes. Just leaves me in a good position to draw a land.
Yeah, so my take on it was, like, I think you were going to hit a land regardless, but the question became, were you able to do something else relevant on that turn for me? I actually like the play for a different reason. The reason I kind of came around to liking that play, initially I didn't like it, but I'm a more conservative player and tend to take more of the median lines because I think in general they tend to pay off over time. But the thing that I liked about that line is that I don't think that's a good matchup for your deck if it goes long. I don't think it tends to be good. So I think that's the highest payoff line in a matchup that's not really that great. And at the end of the day, medium red's it's a pretty high rolly deck. And we were talking at the beginning of the game. I'm like, I think if this game goes long, Ramy's going to get the medium red deck. But if the medium red deck, has one of the crucial pieces, one of the operative pieces to why it's called medium, like it can just turbo over any deck, really. It can just turbo over any deck. Like there's not many decks that can beat, 3-drop, 4-drop, 3, whatever. Like it just doesn't generally tend to work. So that's kind of why I liked it, because I just think, your deck is the most strongly suited to beating that sort of draw. So just very interesting game. And interesting play on that part. Like I didn't expect you to bolt the birds off of the Simian Spirit Guide, but I don't think it was wrong.
No, I definitely feel
debatable.
Especially
it's debatable, but I mean.
Yeah. I my thought process was that this is a deck that if they can play a 3 on 2 to Night of Autumn, my Mana Rock or something like that, especially how my sort of game plan is to try to get the Lodestone going down, them having extra mana that I can't really that can allow them to get through that lodestone kind of block might actually just make me lose. And I was like,
no, as it turned out, like you're not wrong. Like if they had been able to cast a spell on turn 2 with 3 mana, they would have played a Kitchen Finks out. Ramy would have played a Kitchen Finks out, and that would have been a pretty solid stone wall for the lodestone golem, at least in the short term.
Yeah.
But it's one of those lines, right? Like it's either it's a pretty big low side versus a very high upside, or like a median case where like you're still going to have kind of a fight and the game may just protract and go long. I think definitely a high variance play, but like a play that if you do hit on that land, which a land is the highest probability draw in your deck, or a mana source is the highest probability draw in your deck, you're probably just going to win, and in that case you did, right? It was, it worked out.
And I feel, especially with medium red, that it is that kind of deck where you have to take those risky lines, because that deck doesn't it can grind, but it doesn't grind well against another grindy deck.
No, blue decks in general, true blue decks, I think in general tend to be advantaged over enough games with it. Now, if you have the high roll hands, blue decks don't tend to beat it.
No.
But I think, if you don't have the high roll hands and you're just going to go 3, 4, 5 on it, like it doesn't tend to be that hard to beat it with like a solid blue deck. I mean, heck, we were playing last night. I was talking a little bit about our games with like Esper versus like the red decks, and kind of how those go. But anyways, jumping back to this matchup, we've got Azor's Angel fighting against Bailite.
Yeah, I put Pants versus Bailite on while figure, but I think it's fine to talk about the matchup. That's just talking.
Yeah,
about
I think it was a very interesting game. It's a very interesting game because I think he won a game that, like, generally speaking, is not going to be favored, and he took an interesting line. But I thought it was an interesting line at the end of the day. Very, very cool line.
Another thing I wanted to mention is, I'll be honest, I was kind of doing some bookkeeping stuff in the meantime. Were you talking about the Blood Moon game where he went with the sword to hit the sword instead of? Was that what you were talking about? Because it was also.
Oh, no! We were actually talking about the game 3 where he opted to use the Simeon Spirit Guide to bolt the 1-drop. The sword equip was actually, I think the sword equip was 100% right. I like that play.
Because I noticed in the game chat they were talking about how like. You said like, oh, I think I got greedy. I should have probably just potted away the Feeble Thip. And I just wanted to lay. We in the booth we did agree that it was correct to actually keep the sword there.
I think it's the most board impacting play at that point.
You get punished, but I think if you don't go for it, you can't really win the game. So you actually, take the line that allows you to win the game certainly some amount of the time.
Yeah, if I didn't have the bolt there, I think that matches his.
Yeah, I do too. Like I think honestly, he did the same thing that you did in game number 3. It just didn't pay off. Like he just didn't get lucky on it. If it had paid off, like he probably just wins. Because he can just sit there, has a stone wall, and can play another threat the next turn. Then
I don't even think it's that much of a stone wall, because what he can do is he can attack with Fable Thip.
Kill something.
I can't block, kill the Harsh Mentor, then
pot it away, and then
and then equip the sword to something else.
Yep. Nope. It was a good play. It was a good play on Ramy's part. It's not too greedy, I don't think. I think it was right. He was not ahead in that matchup. That all said, I mean, it's, Magic is a game sometimes of variance, and hell, he was only in that position because he drew 2 basics. He drew 2 basics in a row, which is good. Which is good. I'm not saying he's lucky.
I guess my point is, just because the play didn't work out, it doesn't make it wrong. Like, you have to take the correct play based on the amount of information that you have, and sometimes it doesn't work out because your opponent had it. But
I think in the case that he was in, it was actually still quite risky. I mean, like, you just don't know, right? But it's a risk you have to take anyways, because, like, at that point, his opponent is on a land lean hand that was able to turbo down a Blood Moon. The possibilities that he has a lot of 3 and 4 drop creatures that he can't cast are pretty high. There's also a good chance that he probably has like a decent amount of like burn-based removal in hand, some of which may be instant speed, but he hadn't played any creatures up to that point to really know if he had instant speed burn or not. So it's really kind of like a 50-50 shot. It's a gamble, but I think it's a gamble that was definitely worth taking there because the upside on the play is that he probably just wins, All
right.
I believe I scredded something earlier in that match.
You had. You scredded away an Abzan
the Mana Dork, yeah. So, okay. I want to congratulate WolfgangCloud for winning this week. Again, next week we will be having the end of season championship on the sorry. We're gonna have a random season championship. It's probably gonna be a different time zone because we want to make sure that all of our contestants will be there. So probably if you want to watch, just go on our Discord, which I am about to watch in chat, and I mean there is gonna be announcements there. So keep an eye out for that. And season 4 will be starting soon. If you want to have a say in what the time slot is gonna be and you want to be participating again, the Discord is the best place to be. I want to thank everybody that was involved with me on in making this season what I am comfortable in calling a success. My co-hosts Eloquen and Thunder Numbers and Loman, which a couple more than once came in to just like, you know, oh, we are panicking, we need somebody to just
more of a guest announcer as opposed to like a recurring presence. But yeah, definitely great to get to jump in here and commentate on some good Highlander, you know.
Everybody that played, Gosmith, Remit, WolfgangCloud, Loman himself, Windy, Ethobak, Aqua, Bailite, Raren Monsters, Injunjo or Inunjo, I'm not sure. Croc64, Luca, Tenebre, Rayu, Para, Nashtai, Rance Heroica, Spicy Napalm, not the Insanity because he never actually showed up and play. So yeah, the first 2 weeks we had the Insanity, which is a friend of mine. And like we had the Insanity like sign up for the tournament and not show up for so
well,
he ended
there's
up,
always next season. Insanity can redeem himself next, or hit him or herself or himself, theirself. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next season, you know,
yeah,
they can
hopefully.
show up.
Maybe if it's if we're in a later time slot, he might be able to get there. But yeah, either way, I want to hope that I see all of these players and more for in next season. This was great. I think this is the best season that we have had. It's the first one that we actually managed to get to completion, to a place where I think I'm pretty comfortable. If you have any feedback about anything that transpired today, you should just let me know. Just drop me a message. You think, I don't know, like the way that we are gathering points doesn't make sense, or you think that you don't like and I'm like how we do thing. Just let me know. I'm always receptive to feedback. And if you want to join the tournament again, join the Discord. Everything's gonna be on the Discord. There's been a conversation of having some more like active presence like Twitter and stuff. So far that hasn't happened. So but it's yeah, I mean, how do you raid somebody? It's been really great to like be in a position to like hang out with you guys and stream some powerful Magic. And I just want to thank everybody involved. Now give me a second to figure out how to tell people to raid Benjamin Wheeler.
Try to raid someone. All right. Well, thank you, Red Mage, for inviting me to co-host and announce today. I'm actually gonna jump out and go check out Benjamin Wheeler playing some other Canadian Highlander.
I wanted to like send him a raid, but he.
I think most of the folks who watch this probably jump over there anyways. Jump over to Ben Wheeler's stream.
Yes, but I also want to learn how to raid somebody. So.
All right. Well, I'm not going to be the guy to help you. I'll promise you that. I'm the same guy who couldn't get into Google Hangouts. So I'll catch you later, homie. All right.
I'll talk to you later, friend. See you next time. All right. So I am going to do this, and I will talk to all of you next time.